closed session. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of May 14th, 2025. This is the Board of Education for the Mount Diablo Unified School District. We have got my papers mixed up here. We are moving to the preliminary business, which is 5.1, the land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lasan, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and the Northern Yokot, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District and broader Bay Area communities today. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Someday.
Okay. So 6.3 is approval of the minutes for April 16th and April 23rd. You've had an opportunity to review the minutes. Do you want to consider them separately or together?
I suggest together, and I move to approve the minutes for the regular board meetings that were held on April 16th, 2025 and April 23rd, 2025 as they were presented.
Second.
So we have a motion by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee McDougall regarding the approval of the minutes for April 16th and 23rd, 2025. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Trustee Ochoa, what is your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. So item 6.3, approval of minutes, is adopted as presented. Approval of the agenda. Superintendent, do we have any changes in the agenda?
Yeah, I have a couple of changes, Madam President. I would like to pull item 10.4. And then I would like to move item 10.2, followed by 10.1 in front of 8.1.
Okay.
All the changes.
So is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the agenda with the changes suggested.
Second.
So the motion before you on the approval of the agenda is to pull item 10.4 and move items 10.2, 10.1 before 8.1. There's the motion was made by Ms. Mason and a second by Trustee Cound. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. The changes to the agenda have been approved as presented. Okay. Item 7.0 is the report out of action taken in closed session. For item 7.1, the board received information. For item 7.2, which is discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employees, in closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to approve the issuance of a certificated dismissal charges against employee ID 38437. There's a second case in closed session by a vote of 5-0. The Board of Education took action to approve the non-reelection of certificated employee 48674. And then the final item under this agenda item, in closed session, the board considered reassignment of one vice principal under Education Code 44951 and voted by a vote of 5-0 in favor and 0 against to direct the district to send the notice that this person will be reassigned to a position for which they are credentialed for at the end of the 24-25 school year. I apologize, my microphone was turned on there. Under item 7.4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. In closed session under item 7.4A1, the board by a vote of 5-0 decided to initiate or intervene in a legal action, Power School data breach litigation. The action, the defendants and other particulars shall, once formally commenced, be disclosed to any person upon inquiry, unless to do so would jeopardize the district's ability to effectuate service of process on one or more unserved parties, or that to do so would jeopardize the district's ability to conclude existing settlement negotiations to its advantage. In closed session under item 7.4A the board voted by a vote of 5-0 and directed the superintendent to initiate 2 legal actions. Once formally commenced, more specific information shall be disclosed to any person upon inquiry, unless it is determined by the district that such disclosure would jeopardize the district's ability to conclude settlement negotiations to its advantage. And then item 7.6, liability claims under Government Code 54956.95. The board met in closed session and by a vote of 5-0 voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code 54956.95 by AC against the Mount Diablo Unified School District. And that concludes the report out on closed session. We're ready for public. Oh, we're going to move the items forward. Yes.
Yeah, 2 items to do before public comments. So first of all, if we have any of our classified employees of the year, hopefully that they have, hopefully we can let them know if they're out there, Leonie or Ryan, to see if they would be willing to come in before I do our resolution, recognizing our classified. Beautiful. Right. Those are little things I'm still from evaluation. All right. Thank you. So I have before you, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to present our resolution recognizing in recognition of Classified Employee Week. Thank you. So, Madam President, I bring before you Resolution 24/25-69 in recognition of Classified School Employee Week, which is May 18th through the 24th, whereas classified school employees provide valuable services to schools, students, teachers, administrators, and other staff of the Mount Diablo Unified School District, as well as to the general public. And whereas Classified School Employee Week recognizes members from 9 occupational specialties, including clerical and administrative, custodial and maintenance, food and nutrition, health and student services, paraprofessional, security, skilled trades, technical and transportation services. And now therefore, the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of classified school employees to quality education in the state of California and in the Mount Diablo Unified School District, and declares the week of May 18th through May 24th as Classified School Employee Week in the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to adopt Resolution 24/2569, Classified School Employees Week, as a proud person that was part of CSEA for 22 years.
I'll second that.
So the motion before you was presented by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee Count on the adoption of Resolution 24/25. Is there further discussion? Trustee Ochoa.
Yes.
Thank you. The vote is 5-0-0-0 on the adoption of and recognition of Classified School Employees Week. So, would you recognize our candidates?
So now I would like to congratulate, and we're going to recognize, and we're going to do a short presentation for each of our 8 classified employees of the year. They were highlighted in our Friday newsletter, where we highlight those who take care of our students and also highlight our students' achievements throughout the Mount Diablo Unified School District. So the first person that we want to recognize, can I please have Jose come forward, please? Yeah, just stand right there. I'm not going to make you speak just yet, but Jose, I have some words that was written about you and about your work, and so please bear with me. Jose, who is now the elementary head custodian at Shayslands Preschool, Sunrise Elementary, was nominated for the award by Bancroft Elementary teachers Anna Davis and Jennifer Winberry earlier this year. When he was custodian at their school, he has worked in custodial and maintenance services for 26 years. His efficiency and problem-solving abilities have positively impacted the overall workflow of the school, ensuring that operations run smoothly and effectively. According to his nomination, Jose has made remarkable contributions both within the school and in the wider community. The teachers said that Jose participates in school events, volunteer programs, and outreach events, ensuring that the school remains a well-integrated and supportive institution for both students and parents. He also leads by example and is a cornerstone of the school community. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Jose Cancillo. Oh, Jose, do you have any family that you'd like to recognize who are here this evening? Oh,
Yeah.
work, Jose? Okay, that's fine. All right. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. The next classified
And
Sorry.
and then
The
they'll stay here for a group picture at the end,
we're
right?
gonna
So
pick up
stay.
the end, Jose. So
Don't
just hold
leave.
tight. Just got it. 7 more to go through. So our next classified employee that we'd like to recognize is Tara O'Keefe. Where's Tara? There she is. There she is. Tara O'Keefe is a network systems administrator who has worked in this field for 16 years. Tara's proactive approach to her role ensures not only the resolution of immediate issues, but also the implementation of long-term improvements, creating a seamless and supportive environment for students and staff, said Director of Technology and Innovation, Robert Sitford, in his nomination. Her positivity and focus ensure that problems are met with solutions, not blame, and her efforts have become a cornerstone of her school's success. Sitford also praised O'Keefe's people skills, saying her dedication to creating a stable, secure, and supportive environment enables students, staff, and teachers to focus on their goals and thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Tara O'Keefe. You have someone you'd like to recognize? You have someone you'd like to recognize here? Oh. Next, we would like to bring up Kitty Payne. Kitty Payne has worked as a licensed vocational nurse for 5 years. She has demonstrated exceptional clinical expertise and handles every situation with competence and care, said Director of Strategic Supports and Interventions Linda Peet, and credentialed school nurses Diana Nishetsky and Marianne Johnson in their nomination. Many students have directly benefited from her swift actions in urgent situations, such as administrating first aid or coordinating emergency care, which has had a lasting positive impact on their health and well-being. In addition, Pang has developed a deep connection with students in her care, parents, and staff, making her a trusted figure who demonstrates compassion, professionalism, dedication, a strong work ethic, and an unwavering commitment to the health and well-being of our school community. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Kitty Pang. Next, I would like to recognize Anita Fontana. All right. Anita Fontana is a campus supervisor 2 at Pine Hollow Middle School. She was nominated by Principal Andrew Strawbridge as a dedicated campus supervisor with 31 years of experience. 31 years, might I add, of exceptional service, as it says in here. Anita exemplifies the highest standards of professionalism, care, and commitment to our school community. Anita's firm yet fair approach to campus supervision sets her apart as a leader and role model. Fontana builds positive and respectful relationships with students and staff and mentors other campus supervisors. Her dedication, leadership, and kindness make her an indispensable part of the Pine Hollow family. Ladies and gentlemen, Anita Fontana. Okay, next we have Gayonji Iraheta. Did I get that somewhat right? Okay, pretty good. All right. All right. She has worked as a who is a lead food service worker 1 at Woodside Elementary, and she was nominated by the food service area supervisor, Tom Egan, for her 15 years of service. Woodside Elementary Kitchen successfully serves approximately 96 to 98% of the enrolled students at Woodside, both breakfast and lunch daily. Egan said in his nomination, "This is absolutely unheard of in our business. She does this by interacting with students, attending after-school functions with parents, and letting them know about our food service program while promoting our department and the food she proudly serves. She comes up with new ideas for recipes and operations, mentors new hires, is highly motivated, and is a strong communicator and collaborator who fosters positive relationships with colleagues, staff, parents, and of course, the students. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Kayanji Iraheta. I know I messed. We're getting there, folks. Thank you. This is well worth it. All right. Next, we have Jenny Manji, just as it's spelled, right? Jenny Manji. Yes. Jenny Manji has been a special education assistant, SEA, in an autism class at Silverwood Elementary for more than 5 years. Okay, so I'm just reading it. Tell me, correct me if I'm wrong. She thank you. She has advocated for her students like no other aide I have ever seen, says teacher Liz Tang, who was one of Silverwood's staff members who nominated Manji. She stays late, comes early, and even skips lunch to make sure there are enough appropriate things for her students to be doing. She added that Manji has provided lesson plans and curriculum for substitutes. She just knows what needs to be done and is doing everything she can to keep her to help her class succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you over 10, 15 years of experience, Jenny Manji. Can we give it up for her? All right, now, so I want to thank, don't leave yet, but I want to thank our classified employees so far, but we have 2 county finalists for Classified Employee of the Year. So we have 2 finalists. So the first one we have is Nicole Nakasato. Nicole, who is the district student enrollment coordinator, was nominated by Student Services Directors Margie Kalbrecht and Felicia Stuckey-Smith. Nicole has worked in the district for 8 years, is a visionary leader and systems thinker with the skill set to be highly effective in multiple capacities. She is passionate about education, has strong organizational and interpersonal skills, and was the brain trust behind the creation of our current centralized enrollment center. She created the centralized TK and kindergarten enrollment process and the virtual process for transfer and choice lotteries. She provides professional development to other district staff members, works closely with the IT department, human resources, and fiscal departments, and provides a welcoming environment to all of our families, as the enrollment center is the first point of contact for so many families coming to MDUSD. Ladies and gentlemen, county finalist for Classified Employee of the Year, Nicole Nakasato. All right. So, county finalist for Classified Employee of the Year, Teresa Cross. Teresa Cross, a school bus driver, was nominated by Transportation Director Chris Lepe, who praised her dedication, skill, and unwavering commitment to our school community. During her 2 decades of service, she drives a 40-foot bus and serves the Bay Point community, driving school routes and also drives for field trips. Her ability to foresee and prevent potential issues, particularly with field trip scheduling, has been proven invaluable. Teresa's sharp eye for logistics and her understanding of our operational needs helped prevent potential problems, allowing the field trips for the transportation department to run smoothly. Cross brings consistency, skill, and quiet strength to our department as a model of professionalism with a strong work ethic and, most importantly, a deep care for her students and colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, Teresa Cross.
I need to acknowledge our whole group. There's 10 or 12 of us big bus drivers that service the morning schools for Memphis High School and then the field trip. And if it wasn't for Chris getting us a radio, we could communicate on such separate entities. Thank you.
Stand up here, I think. Yeah, I'll stand here.
I figure we could say that. There we go.
There you go. Oh, we gotta come. Not safety. Safety's not your department.
Okay.
Yeah. People.
So congratulations again to one and all. So then drop it to, yeah, 1 minute. 1 minute.
How long? 22 times a minute and a half? That's 30.
No, 1.5 minutes is 27 minutes. 18 was 27 minutes at 1.5 minutes. So 22 goes way over. Make it a minute 10. Reduce it to 10.
It's 33 minutes. 1.5 is 33 minutes.
So you're programming in 1.5 minutes?
We got enough. Look.
I want to thank everyone who's put in a speaker card for that delay, but felt it was necessary to recognize our classified employees. So we will now open up public comments.
The public may address the Board of Education regarding any item not on the agenda. Public comment will also be allowed on each specific agenda item prior to board action thereon. Speakers must submit a speaker card to the board secretary. The president will call each speaker to the podium as appropriate. These presentations are limited to 1 minute and 10 seconds each, or a total of 30 minutes for all speakers. If there are multiple speakers on any one subject, the public comment period may be moved to the end of the meeting. Speakers are not allowed to yield their time. The first speaker is Alex Economy. Thank you.
Tell them the time. Tell them the time.
There. There it is. All right. Ready? Awesome. So my name is Alex Economy, and I have been a teacher at Mount Diablo Unified School District now for 3 years. I've traveled all over California teaching, and as somebody who is part of the LGBTQ community and one of the few transgender teachers in our district, it's really important to me to have appropriate medical coverage. To give you an idea of where I've been previously, I've worked in Amador County where my medical expenses for transgender care were very underfunded. I would be paying hundreds of dollars a month for medications that to me are life-saving because they literally change how my brain works. They improve how I think. And even when I was working in other districts across California, I had the same issue occurring where I would just be struggling to make ends meet while also meeting my medical needs. It wasn't until I started here at Mount Diablo Unified, when I got into this incredible medical coverage that we currently have, that I was able to afford the medical care that I need to live my regular life. So I implore you to please recognize the union's demands in regard to our medical coverage. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Michelle McCoud. Michelle. Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you. I was planning on 3 minutes since that's what the website said, so I'm gonna have to truncate what I say. So thank you for hearing me out this evening. Our district's LCAP goal, number 3, states that families and communities will be informed and empowered as partners with Mount Diablo Unified to support student learning and improve student outcomes. Recently, Woodside Elementary School was made aware of the dismissal of our principal, Christopher Chenault. As you know, Mr. Chenault joined our staff in February 2022 after the resignation of Joe Alvarez. During his time at Woodside, Mr. Chenault has brought an optimistic, hopeful, and confident spirit to our school. This attitude continually and consistently resonates with students, parents, and staff alike. At no point or any members of our school community consulted or spoken to about his performance, and this stands in stark contrast to LCAP goal number 3. I have a student letter here that I'd like to read to you. This is a student named Jacob Daly Alvarez, who's a 3rd grade student at Woodside. My name is Jacob Daly Hernandez. Jacob Daly Hernandez, and I'm in 3rd grade at Woodside Elementary. I'm writing to you this letter because I want to tell you how much I love our principal, Mr. C. He's the best principal ever. I'm gonna kind of truncate this letter. We are all upset with the news of him not being our principal next year. I don't.
Thank you very much. The next,
Read
the next speaker is Amanda. There is no last name with this card. I think Amanda was trying to make it easy on me. So welcome, Amanda.
Madam President, just so that they can utilize all their time, can you maybe call the next 2 speakers too, so they know?
Yes, sir. Elisa Steckel is the next one, and Elisa Juarez. Go ahead, please.
Okay. To start, I'd like to talk about COLA. I asked the district realistically look at the funds available. If we can spend money on an imaginary food truck, upgrading libraries with no librarians, changing mascots, giving promotions and raises to workers at Dent, on upgrading furniture at Dent and purchasing yonder pouches, I asked that teachers get paid COLA. Class sizes. Our Medea shirts say our students deserve the best, which is absolutely true. Our students deserve the best education. Our students deserve to come to school in a safe and nurturing environment. Our students deserve to be in a class that's not overcrowded, a place where they don't get lost in the shuffle. I teach 3rd grade, have 31 students. I think it's reasonable to ask for lower class sizes. I have to truncate this too. I have so much. I'd like to ask that the bargaining team come to the table and actually bargain. It's my understanding when bargaining happens, one side brings up an ask, a want, and the other side makes a counter offer. I don't think that's happening. Counseling, for me, it's really important. I ask that you please increase the number of counselors on elementary school campuses. Having a counselor for 1.5 days a week is not enough. At our school, we have students eloping, throwing rocks at cars, saying hurtful and unkind things to students, throwing chairs through windows. We need counselors. Well, I do my best to help the children in my class. There's things I'm not equipped for. Finally, please fix the heating and air conditioning. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alyssa Juarez, followed by Cindy Aguilar, followed by Kevin Taylor. Alyssa? Thank you.
Okay, I'm here this evening on behalf of Mount Diablo adult ed teachers. There's no time to talk, so please read this important handout about the urgent situation at our school.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Cindy Aguilar, followed by Kevin Taylor, and followed by Angel Tricado. Go ahead.
I'm experiencing deja vu. The district is crying the sky is falling and they don't have extra money to spare, all the while sitting on an ending fund balance 2,000 times greater than the required 3%. Our board should be concerned with ensuring our students receive the best education. So again, I remind the board, the money this district receives each year is to be and should be spent on the educational needs of the current students. How do we know what the students need? By talking to the people who directly educate them each day, not an administrator who hasn't taught in a classroom in the last 10 plus years. How do we guarantee our students get the best? We hire and retain the best by showing that MDUSD respects educators, by paying them a living wage that at least keeps pace with COLA each year, by lowering class sizes so that our educators can spend more individual time with their students, by paying them for the hours of work they were required to do beyond their site time, and not forcing them to do things that aren't in the best interest of our students, like teaching multiple levels of classes within one period, especially ELD at our Title I sites, or forcing them to miss their prep time, which is when they work on creating engaging lessons or grading student work, because they have to act as a substitute teacher or noon supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kevin Taylor is the next speaker, followed by Angel, followed by Lauren Mercado. Kevin Taylor is the next speaker. Did I miss you?
I'm Cindy Aguilar.
Oh, thank you.
Am I
Please
right?
go ahead.
Okay. Am I supposed to hit a button?
You're good.
Okay. All right. Good evening. I'm Cindy Aguilar. This is my 24th year teaching in our district, and I am a nationally board certified teacher. I recently had the pleasure of attending the Willie Mims Awards, and I really enjoyed Dr. Clark's speech. In it, he said students should have every opportunity and every resource to be successful. And I think this is a really great philosophy. But I wonder how that ties into our class size, because if you really feel this way, having a class maxed out is not really giving every student the best resource to be successful. I can't say for sure, but I believe it's been mentioned along the way that there have been studies that don't prove that class sizes affect learning. I'm not sure about that, but are there studies that show that large classes help learning? I can tell you that from my 24 years of teaching 34 students and teaching 18, for sure it matters. For sure, I can do more with smaller classes. I can affect more students. This year, I had 2 students tell me second grade they wanted to kill themselves. 2 students. I have 31 kids. I cannot be giving them as much attention as I would like. I am not enough resource for them with 31. Please fix our class sizes.
Thank you. Kevin? Thank you, Kevin.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Clark, audience members. Thank you so much for our time. I would like to say, as a teacher in this district for 17 years, that I'm shocked by what's happening, but unfortunately I'm not. This district has shown time and time again through its actions what it really thinks about teachers. You were told tonight that we were coming. You were told tonight that we wanted to speak, we wanted to be heard, we wanted to be part of the conversation, and that we asked you to please move it next door where it would be safer, where more people could be involved, and we were told no. You are denying teachers the right to be heard and seen and to tell you what they feel. How is that fair bargaining? How is that treating us with respect if you won't even hear our voices? I really implore you, please tell Dr. Clark and his team to bargain in good faith. Striking out every word of a proposal is not bargaining in good faith. Our teachers deserve better. We at least deserve to be respected enough to be able to have seats at the meeting and not sitting on the floor. Thank you.
Angel is the next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Angel Trincato, and I am proud to serve the students of Holbrook Language Academy as a first grade English partner. As we come to another end of the year, I was reflecting on how we could better serve our students and researching research-based strategies that would improve student performance. As between my partner and I, we serve 62 first grade students. In my research, I came across several reports and studies, and they all say the same. Reduced class sizes promote better learning outcomes for the students, not only in their current grade, but continued success throughout their educational careers. These benefits include higher test scores, more participation in school, improved behavior. Reduced classroom sizes would also mirror the board's policy on equity, especially a commitment to equity in the opportunities provided to students and the resulting outcomes. In the National Education Policy Center report, it was found that smaller class sizes are particularly effective at raising achievement levels of low income and minority children.
Thank you. Next is Lauren Mercado, followed by Corey Lynch Grant. Go ahead, Lauren.
Good evening. I'm Lauren Mercado, a school counselor, not academic counselor at Northgate High School. I'm wrapping up my second year in the district, and in that short time, I've already witnessed counselors get transferred to different sites at different levels with no reason given, and then they leave our district because of that. Beyond the obvious loss of talented personnel, I want to speak about why that hurts students. Counselors placed in communities get to know students, their families, their needs, their challenges, that sibling coming up from 8th grade next year who has an IEP that I need to look out for. We learn things like why they aren't coming to school, a health issue they're battling, why they're showing up late, hungry, and sleep deprived. When counselors are moved around, it hurts students, hurts their performance, they lose a trusted adult, and don't know who to talk to. It's hard for a teenager to develop a relationship with a new adult time and time again, to re-explain past health issues, histories of trauma, their suicidal ideation, so they don't. They slip through the cracks. Having a trusted adult to help them with issues that impact attendance, behavior, and academics is what's best for our students and therefore student achievement. Imagine you had to get a new therapist every year and start from scratch. It's hard enough for an adult. Now imagine that you're 13.
Thank you. Corey Lynch Grant. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and members of the board. My name is Corey Lynch Grant, and I serve as an MLL support teacher at Riverview Middle School. I also stand here as a proud member of a family with strong union roots that stretch back to the unions and the mines of Tucson, Arizona, and actually not really Tucson, outside of Tucson, who also stood with Cesar Chavez with United Farm Workers. Those values of dignity, solidarity, and justice run through my veins. And I believe with all of my heart that Cesar would be standing with us today in full support of Medea and our call for a fair contract. You have a moment in front of you, a moment to show that you truly respect the teaching profession, not just with words of appreciation during Teacher Appreciation Week, but with actions that back it up. Teachers are not asking for a luxury. We are asking for what is right. We are asking for a contract that reflects the value of our work and our worth in this community. Please do not put me and my union brothers and sisters in the position where we are forced to say the word I never want to have to say, huelga. But know this, if it comes to that, we will not stand alone.
Thank you. Next speaker is Julia Jamison, followed by Brett Hart. Next speaker is Julia Jamison, followed by Brett Haupt. Julia, thank you.
Thank you, President Mayo, trustees, Dr. Clark. In discussing negotiations between MDUSD and Medea, the district has repeatedly pointed out the large number of proposals that Medea has brought to the table. That's what happens when you open a contract every 3 years and postpone, so it's actually every 4. What the district hasn't mentioned is the number of proposals Medea has made that bear absolutely no cost. The counselor who just spoke alluded to one of them. One of our asks is that school counselors be assigned to a specific school site instead of being assigned by program. This would provide our school counselors with the protections of involuntary transfer rather than assignment. It would allow the district to move school counselors if the size of a school had fluctuated in a way that made them need more or less counseling service, but it would protect counselors from being moved because of perceptions by administrators that they might be less pliable than someone else.
Thank you. Brett Haupt, followed by Debbie Hickey. Brett Haupt, followed by Debbie Hickey. Hello, welcome.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Clark. All right, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and I hope the people behind me will help me answer them. Will the teachers, families, and students of our district continue to accept overflowing classrooms? Will teachers and staff go back to the days of paying for healthcare out of their own pockets? In these times of rising housing costs and groceries, will teachers, when given for inflation, accept a pay cut this next year? Will we ever stop fighting for the working conditions of our teachers and learning conditions of our students? No, because our students deserve the best. Please give it to them.
Debbie Hickey, followed by Laura Pinto. Welcome, Debbie.
Sorry. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm a little upset. I can't go after that. But my thing was to come and say thank you so much to Deborah Mason, who has come to 2 of my baseball games. Want to say congratulations because she is the only administrator or board member, sorry, Dr. Clark, that has even tried to come to Mount Diablo to support our students. So, once again, thank you, Deborah, for always supporting the students at Mount.
Thank you. Laura Finko, followed by Ariella Sputsta. First is Laura Finko, followed by Ariella Sputsta.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Finko. I come to bring greetings from the San Ramon Valley, where we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters at Mount Diablo. Because the district has refused to make meaningful movement on salary, on fully funded medical benefits, and on class size, fair compensation to work beyond site time, and on safety provisions that protect educators and students alike. Students deserve better. They deserve smaller class sizes that allow real attention and meaningful learning to happen. They deserve the best educators, and that requires competitive pay and benefits and attract to retain the top talent. And they deserve safe classrooms because when educators are protected, students thrive. Medea members are advocating because they care deeply about this community. It's time for this district to meet with them with respect and invest in our students, what our students truly deserve.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ariella, followed by Craig Yen. Thank you, Ariella.
Ariel, thanks. Hi. Hello, board, staff, teachers, Dr. Clark. It is with deep sadness I come before you today. I am here to advocate for my students. They deserve more than 31 to 1. Could the first 3 rows please stand up? This is what 31 looks like. It's a lot to put your hands around. They have tears, they have cries, they have boo-boos. They need us. They need us. They need us. I don't know how I'm supposed to build these relationships with 31 kids in my class. They're stashed away millions of dollars. And you ask us to respond to a merry-go-round of new initiatives and PE, SEL, SJ, math reasoning, decoding, comprehension, science, make it hands-on, social studies, characters. Please organize a field trip. Sorry, there's no money. You send us to trainings, but there's no curriculum. You got it off the internet and you told us that we were not doing great. Just a moment, because I have just one thing to say. I am resigning. I am a very good teacher and I am leaving.
Thank you.
Because my students are not getting what I need to give them. And I need not to get a pay cut. So thank you. All of these people need you and they need you. You are losing good teachers right now.
Thank you. Craig Yen, followed by Lisa Dispro. Craig Yen, followed by Lisa Dispro. Craig Yen. All right. Lisa Dispro, followed by Claire Northall. Oh, there's Craig. Craig is first. Then Miss Dispro. Thank you.
I have some numbers for you. This is my 22nd year within the district, maybe 23. Impasse. Every single year except last year, where it is that we settled for a 1-year contract and then got the 9% increase thrown back in our face. 34. That's the number at 4th and 5th grade that we are working with. Each year, our students deserve better than that. 9 negotiation updates. multiple negotiation sessions. Every time I open one of those, it's still saying the same things. District's saying no. It's saying 1%, 1%, and a reopener. That's just not enough. Cost of living within the Bay Area, I can't imagine for our newer teachers. We have to attract and retain them. Treat teachers with respect, please.
Thank you. Ms. Disbro, followed by Claire Northpark. You have 1 minute and 10 seconds like everyone else. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Disbro, and I represent the families of Moms for Liberty, Informed Parents of Contra Costa, and Patriots of Contra Costa. And I am grieved because I have been coming to school board meetings here for so long. I'm a teacher. I support you. I am grieved. Laura Finkel, thank you for being here. This is horrific. I came to speak on another issue, and I just want to say that you guys have not been doing well for so many decades. It's just beyond. I stand here and I'm just 31, 33, no AC. What? What? And your scores? What? So I'm here to talk about a federal court order that mandates that parents be notified and provided opt-outs from gender ideology lessons. This just came out, and this comes from the U.S. District. Please be respectful. This comes from the U.S. District Court for the Southern District. Do you mind if I have 1 second?
No, thank you. We
Okay.
need to move on.
You need
Thank
to look at that because it's about what's happening
Next
to the
speaker
kids in the
is
school.
Claire
You gave
Northall,
others extra
followed by
time.
Nathaniel Burrell. Claire?
Hi, good evening. I'm a teacher of ELD at Mount Diablo High School. I'm finishing my first year. I have really appreciated being in this district because it offers full health care, which has made a huge impact with various medical issues that I've had this year. I pay about 50% in rent, which doesn't really leave me a lot of leeway. And had I had to pay fully out of pocket for some of those medical expenses, I don't know how it would be making ends meet. So I urge the board to please consider a reasonable cost of living increase. As far as I've understood, it is something the board and the district can afford. So thank you.
Thank you. Nathaniel Burrell, followed by Sharon Steele.
Hi, my name is Nate Burrell. I'm here. I'm a parent of 2 students in Mount Diablo Unified School District. I just wanted to say something about my son's situation at El Dorado Middle School. It's the same school my wife went to. It just like when she went there, it has a library, it has a shop class, but there's no librarian and there's no shop teacher, so they're not open. And for some reason, I think a 1% raise is not the best solution to deal with that problem. So I'm here, and everyone I've talked to about this completely agrees with me. And I just want to say, next time you should have it in a bigger room because we're going to bring as many people as we can out next time.
Okay. Sharon Steele, followed by Kelly Kick. Sharon Steele, followed by Kelly Kick. Welcome, Sharon.
Hello, board members, Dr. Clark. I've been in this district for close to 50 years as a student, a parent, a community member, a paraeducator, and a teacher. I have seen the ebb and flow of our district in terms of the quality of education it provides. I have never felt so dismayed as I do at this time. The lack of support for education coming directly from the district's messaging is heartbreaking. The vilification of teachers is infuriating. Teachers do not teach for the money. We do it because we love kids and we love our community. All we are asking for is fairness and support for our mission of educating our future citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Kelly Kick, followed by Victor Ward. Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Kelly.
Good evening, board members. My name is Kelly Kick, and I stand here on behalf of the United Food and Commercial Workers, the grocery worker, retail workers in this county. I also am the newly elected president of the Contra Costa Labor Council that represents 90 affiliated unions, including this union. And you're damn right, I stand here in solidarity with this union. I am a proud student of this district. I am a parent in this district. Your wage proposal is absolutely disgusting. How do you propose worker retention when they're walking out tonight? How do you more won't walk out tomorrow? What will you do then? What will you do then? Why don't you take a 1% wage increase next year? I see with President Ortega and this entire union, and you're damn right we'll bring more back next time. Thank you. Kelly Kick from and Victor Ward. Victor Ward. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Clark. It strikes me that in a school district, you only have a couple of knobs that you can turn in terms of getting money. One is ADA attendance, and my company has developed a couple of products. One is something that attacks chronic absenteeism, which of course directly affects the bottom line. And the other one is something that you can use as a fundraiser. It's a video yearbook, and it allows students and teachers to upload their own videos, working from the concept that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a 1-minute video is worth about 2,000 pictures. And it properly captures really special times like graduation and promotion, all of your athletic events, and all of your arts and media events, as well as capturing some probably pretty fantastic lessons that some of your fantastic teachers produce on a pretty much daily basis. So I just wanted to introduce that to you. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment and all of the cards that we have received for public comment. If you wish to make additional comments, you're welcome to stay till the end of the meeting, and I will be glad to sit here and listen to your public comments. We'll move on to the next agenda item. And that is district organizations. Linda Ortega. Welcome, Linda.
Good evening, President Mayo, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. I also want to have a shout out to my union siblings who have come out from San Ramon, Antioch, Labor Council, John Sweat, and I'm sure there's others in the audience. Thank you for your support. My name is Linda Ortega, and I am the proud president of the Mount Diablo Education Association. I represent over 1,500 certificated educators. Medea members range from preschool to 12th grade and beyond. Teachers that teach all subjects, counselors, librarians, music teachers, coaches, resource specialists, speech pathologists, and more. My members educate and support all students at every site across the district. I want to acknowledge the work my members do each day, and as president, I appreciate the work they do to educate and advocate for our students. Thank you. In the spirit of last week's Teacher Appreciation Week, I would like to share a quote by Ham Ganot, and he says, "We expect teachers to teach unattainable goals with inadequate resources. The miracle is they do." Our educators are the one constant person in our students' lives. They show up each day to teach our students what they need to achieve in order to graduate and to become flourishing adults we all hope for. I also want to apologize to the members in the audience for the lack of space in the boardroom. I anticipated a large crowd. I had requested to have the school board meeting moved next door to a much larger space. However, my request was denied due to an IT department not being able to set up or support live stream from the MU at Martin Gardens. I found this answer confusing because when we were under COVID restrictions, the meetings were held there without this issue. So what changed? From my understanding, there have been several upgrades to the IT system, so this didn't make any sense to me. Again, I did try to have this meeting moved. I also would like to inform the public that Medea and the district are at an impasse in our negotiations and have recently calendared dates for late June. I hope a resolution can be reached soon. Also, it's been 4 weeks since I presented the school board with a request on behalf of the MDUSD adult educators to join Medea, our bargaining unit. When I reached out to the district for an answer, all I received was some hollow response that they are still looking into it. The adult educators deserve an answer and should not be denied the right to join a union. Finally, I would like to invite the trustees. I want to show this. I would like to invite the trustees to join me, my colleagues, and CTA leaders to a statewide call to action this Saturday, May 17th at noon at the Embarcadero Center in San Francisco. Many of my members will be there. This rally will be at 5 different locations. Educators throughout the state will be meeting to unite educators, parents, and all allies across California to demand better funding, resources, and policies for public schools. This call to action has been posted throughout social media, and I know that labor leader Dolores Huerta will be joining our movement in Los Angeles. Please consider joining us at noon at the Embarcadero Center in San Francisco. I do have some invitations. I do have enough, Dr. Clark, for the audience or for the table. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. So the next agenda item is 10.3, review and potential approval of resolution 24/25, recognizing June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Okay. We have 2 cards. The first is Lisa Dispro. Ms. Dispro? It's 3 minutes.
What amount of
Welcome.
time? Sure. Happy to.
Please begin.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Disbro, and I'm just going to repeat that I represent the Moms for Liberty, Informed Parents of Contra Costa, Patriots of Contra Costa, and their families in your district and the county at large. And I want to make a point about the LGBT flag being flown on public property. I'm a Christian. I'm a practicing Christian, and I would also like my flag to be flown on public property. And if you deny me, you are going to be looking at a specific Supreme Court decision, Shurtleff versus the city of Boston, where it considered the consequences of allowing the pride flag to be displayed and not other flags. So Christians, Jews, Palestinians,
Please. Thank you.
those that support Ukraine, we have our opinions too, and we would like our public representatives to honor and recognize our point of view as well. And so I'm asking you to agree to not only fly the LGBT flag, but also our my Christian flag, to represent the Christians of Mount Diablo Unified School District and to avoid litigation. So that's the point of view. And you are not to discriminate or to play favorites with points of view. And this is a public entity. All of us are equal. The only two flags that you're required to fly are the national and the state. So with that, Lisa Disbrow, I make this request in good faith that all points of view would be represented and honored. And maybe the solution is just flying the national and the state flag. Thank you.
So the next speaker will be respectful, please, so that everyone has their time. The next speaker is Mrs. Ortega.
Good evening again. I would like to remind the school board the importance of accepting all students and employees. As someone who has, and I'm wearing my pride today, as someone who has LGBTQ plus family members, and I even had a cousin who had committed suicide because of his identification. I want to let the audience know this action is important to show that the MDUSD community from the school board, that all our students, all our LGBTQ plus students and employees are recognized and supported. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mr. Reynolds. Dan Reynolds.
Good evening, members of the board. I would like to echo many of the things I just heard Linda Ortega say. I am thankful that you, as a board, for years have passed a resolution very similar to this one. You, as a board, for years have shown that our district hopes to be a place where all of our students are accepted, where they are safe, where they have curriculum that reflects their contributions to history, to our country, in its past, its present, and its future. I'm very appreciative that you, as a board, have continued to show support for the LGBTQIA plus community. I'm thankful that you have this resolution on the docket tonight. I am hopeful to see all 5 of you vote in favor of it. Thank you.
So, Dr. Clark, would you present the resolution, please?
Madam President, I present before you this evening Resolution 24/25-70, recognizing June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Whereas June is a time to celebrate our dynamic LGBTQ plus community, raise awareness of quality service, and foster a dialogue to promote healthy, safe, and prosperous school climates and communities for all. Whereas all children and youth should be able to attend school in a safe and inclusive environment, free from discrimination, and civil rights laws contribute to such environments. Whereas LGBTQ plus children and youth who experience discrimination, harassment, and bullying have a higher risk for diagnosis of depression, anxiety, suicide, and other mental illness than their heterosexual gender peers. So whereas flying the Pride Progress flag throughout the month of June further symbolizes the district's celebration of diversity and support for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and gender nonconforming community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District recognizes the month of June 2025 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month to inspire equity, create alliances, celebrate diversity, and establish a safe environment in our schools and community. Be it further resolved that this resolution be distributed to every school in the district. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I proudly move to adopt Resolution 242570, recognizing June as LGBTQ+ Pride Month.
I'll second that.
So there's been a motion made by Trustee Cowan with a second by Trustee Ochoa. Thank you. In the process, the board, the maker of the motion has the first opportunity to speak. Ms. Cowan.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone who has supported us all of these years from the first time that we authored this resolution through today, to be able to support all of our students, but also all of our staff, our teachers, our families that may identify as part of this community. Everyone is welcome in our schools, and this is really important for us to share. And I just want to point out that sometimes people look at our resolutions and say, well, those are just words, right? Or the flag is just a flag, right? Is that really anything? But when we wrote this resolution, we included specific education code from the state law, as well as our specific board policies, to be able to clarify to everybody what our policies are, and that we do expect all of our teachers and staff to be able to do things like make sure that you're using the preferred pronouns that students ask you to use. Make sure that everyone has access to a bathroom. All of those things are in our board policies, and this is just a way for us to recognize that. So thank you, everyone, for your support.
Trustee Ochoa, do you want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you for recognizing everybody and just not leaving people out.
Thank you. Members of the board, Trustee McDougall.
Yes, I have a comment. I know this has become quite common observance, but I question why there's a need for months observance of this. I have here a list of LGBTQ events throughout the year, and there are 38 days or weeks that are observed in honor of LGBTQ honoring. Why do we need 30 more days?
Please.
There's certainly there's health awareness days, there are visibility days, and so on. So I question why we need to add 30 more days of recognition. We don't honor our military or our first responders nearly as much, and they put their lives on the line regularly.
Thank you.
I have a further comment on the T part of the LGBTQ plus group. Based on a surprising observation made over 2 years ago at a Lafayette School district-sponsored meeting. The observation was made by a lady who described herself as a lifelong Democrat, a mother of 5 boys, and a lesbian. She identified herself as a graduate of Washington University with a master's degree in clinical research. She had worked 5 years at a pediatric gender center with 1,500 kids aged 3 years to 26 years. Her quote was, "I was once a trooper," unquote, but learned that their interventions were based on research, poor evidence, and poor outcomes. She mentioned reports from Canada and Australia that these countries had blocked use of puberty blockers as dangerous. Since that time, the UK and Finland have closed their transitioning clinics based on the clinic's use of poor evidence and results. Without going into further damning observations, I conclude by asking why we are observing a Pride Month for a group that promotes these questionable practices. Now, I believe we need to protect all our kids, from any sort of bullying. I think I'm hearing bullying right now. But to give
Thank you.
honor with a month of observance is not necessary. I oppose this proclamation.
Trustee Nzewi?
There are people in the military who identify as LGBTQIA, and there are people who are first responders. Like there's intersectionality. So my grandmother died a week and a half ago.
Oh.
Her name, this is relevant. It's okay. She lived long. She tried. I'm 50. I had a grandmother. Right. Her name is Bishop Carolyn Tyler Guidry, and I'm going to read to you a bit of the remembrance that comes from the Christian Recorder. Bishop Carolyn Tyler Guidry headed African Methodist Episcopal churches in Southern California and became the first woman to serve as presiding elder in the denomination's 5th Episcopal District. In 1977, Bishop Guidry followed her call to ministry and enrolled in the Los Angeles Bible School. That same year, she was ordained as an itinerant elder. She went on to serve as pastor of First African Methodist Episcopal Church in Indio, California, where she oversaw significant renovations to both the church and the parsonage and established a daycare center. A point that's not here is that she was the first woman pastor of her first 3 churches that she served in. And she also established childcare centers at each of those churches, which, and if you know, my professional life is in childcare advocacy. In 1989, she made history becoming the first woman appointed to lead a major metropolitan church, Walker Temple AME Church in Los Angeles, a congregation of 600 members. In 1994, she again broke barriers, becoming the first woman appointed presiding elder in the 5th Episcopal District, overseeing 19 churches in the Los Angeles area. Although her bids for election to the bishopric in 1996 and 2000 were not successful, her leadership and visibility helped pave the way for women in the denomination. She was not the first, she was the first woman who ran for bishop of the AME Church, but she was the second woman elected in July 2004. And that same year, she earned her Master of Theology degree from Fuller Theological Seminary. That's just a piece of her life. And I would say that she's a good Christian, that she lived her Christian values. And the way she showed them is continuing to show love as my own transgender sibling became transgendered. And there was not, that did not make sense, but I think you know what I mean. You know what I mean. That at that time, when my sibling came out as transgendered, some among us would believe that that's a point of shame, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like there's something wrong with my sibling, when there's nothing wrong with my sibling. And I learned from my grandmother and other people that I consider good Christians is that as we're all made in God's image and we're all deserving of God's love and God makes no mistakes, that is why we get 30 more days of Pride Month, especially with, especially when there's a lot of ways that I struggle through these United States as a Black woman, and there's more ways that Black women, LGBTQIA struggle, but everyone who's a part of that community struggle. And what makes me so proud to be a part of this board is that this isn't new. This is my 21, 22, 23, 24. So this is the 5th time I get to vote yes on this resolution. And I'm so proud to be in a community and to be on a board that isn't afraid to fly a flag, that recognizes, although I just spent 3 or 4 or 5 minutes talking about religion, recognizes the separation between church and state, because that's the law. The Constitution that I know is kind of wobbly right now in our country, but I'll still stand by it. as I swore to back in December. And I'm really proud of what we do, and I'm really proud that those that are against such a thing are maybe in loud opposition. We hear from them the most, but they're loudly wrong. And so I cannot wait to press the yes button.
Trustee Mason? Trustee Mason? Okay. So I know that all of you recognize that I'm the ancient board member on this board. But in my 27 years of serving on this board, I have honored and respected everyone, including domestic partners and all members called out in this resolution. I believe every student and employee and member of our diverse communities should feel welcome, safe, and respected. And through this resolution and the flag, we are promoting our efforts to foster inclusive environments in all schools and workplaces throughout the district. So, Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
There we go. So for this resolution, 10.1, the motion is adopted on a 4-1 to 0 vote with support from Trustee Ochoa. Thank you. We will move on to item 10.4, which is the approval and appointment of.
Oh, we got one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We're moving to 10.5. Review and resolution of 2425-71, declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Dr. Clark.
Yes, and I'll just read one sentence from this. The number of teachers hired or rehired under emergency permits includes substitutes, current employees required to reapply for a permit, and summer school teachers. So we're asking for approval for this so that we can hire those teachers who haven't quite finished all of their credentialing.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution 2425-71, declaration of need for fully qualified teachers.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Trustee Nzewi with a second by Trustee Mason on the declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And resolution 24/25-71 is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Thank you. We've done. We're next public employee appointments.
Yep, and I have Leanne from Human Resources is going to present on this item.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent Dr. Clark, and trustees. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Melissa Brennan as the Director of Student Services. Melissa is an experienced administrator and educator with a background in middle and high school leadership, specializing in managing key school functions such as student support services. Throughout her career, she's focused on creating positive connections with students, family, and staff, ensuring that each student finds the educational pathway best suited to their needs. Melissa earned her Bachelor of Science in Psychology and minor in Spanish from St. Mary's College. She obtained both her Master's of Science in Marriage Family Therapy and Master's of Science in School Counseling from California State University, Sacramento. In addition, Melissa holds a Pupil Personnel Services credential and Administrative Services credential focusing on equity and social justice. On the weekends, you'll find Melissa at baseball, soccer, and football fields cheering on her son and making the most of every moment with the friends and family she's so grateful to have in her life. And with that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve Melissa Brennan as Director of Student Services.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Count with a second by trustee McDougall on the appointment of Melissa Brennan to serve as Director of Student Services. Further comments? Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the appointment is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm honored and excited to serve Mount Diablo in a broader capacity as Director of Student Services. My commitment to students, families, teachers, and staff remains steady. I look forward to deepening support across the district. Together, we will continue building systems that ensure every student thrives. I also want to express my heartfelt gratitude to my husband, my son, my family, my peers, fellow principals. Their love, patience, and support and encouragement makes it possible for me to pursue this work with passion and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. The appointment.
Madam President, for item 11.2, we have Leanne Medina Estrada from HR. She's going to present our next candidate.
Thank you. Good evening again. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Aurelia Buscemi as the Director of Enrollment Services. Aurelia has served the MDUSD community for over 2 decades in roles ranging from teacher to instructional coach to school site administrator. She has always maintained a focus on fostering inclusive, equitable, student-centered school environments and looks forward to continuing her support of families through the enrollment process. Aurelia earned her Bachelor's of Science in Business Information Systems and her Master's of Arts in Teaching Leadership. Aurelia enjoys hiking out on our beautiful Bay Area trails and spending quiet time with her family and close friends. And with that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
I begrudgingly make this motion. I move. I move to approve the appointment of Director of Enrollment Services. Madam Principal.
I'll second that. So we have a motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Mason for the appointment of Aurelia Buscemi to the as Director of Enrollment Services. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
And the motion is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Congratulations, Aurelia.
Good evening. Thank you for that begrudging nomination or appointment. But good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Clark, board members, trustees. I really appreciate this opportunity. And I feel that it is such an honor to be entrusted with an opportunity to serve our district as the Director of Enrollment Services. As was already stated, I have worked for our district for 20 years, over 20 years. And I really look at our district as a powerful community. I love the way
that our meeting has kind of morphed to really focusing on community and our unity and togetherness. And even as I walked into our board meeting tonight, I saw so many familiar faces, so many members that I really feel are part of my family. So some of the communities that I have served and had the honor of serving started with the Cambridge Coyotes and the Bel Air Bears, and then the PHE Dinos, and I'm currently at the Valley View Jaguars. And so my heart is going to be with all of those communities as I also open myself and welcome. I really am excited for the role to be able to be one of the first faces to help welcome our families with the Enrollment Center. So together with the Enrollment Center staff, I really am excited for this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, we have Leanne Medina Estrada again to present our next candidate.
Thank you and good evening again. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Veronica McLennan as principal of Riverview Middle School. Veronica began her career teaching English in Pittsburgh Unified School District, where she developed a deep commitment to student learning and equity. She later became an instructional coach, supporting teachers in effective instruction and curriculum implementation. Her passion for leadership and education led her into school administration. Most recently, she served as principal at Deer Valley High School in the Antioch Unified School District. Veronica holds a BA in Literature and Women's Studies from the University of California, Santa Cruz, and an MA in Educational Leadership. She lives in Pittsburgh with her husband and two youngest children. A proud Disney adult, she enjoys trips to the beach, reading, and spending time with her family. Veronica is excited to be joining the Mount Diablo Unified School District and becoming a part of the Riverview community. And with that, I leave this final appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the appointment of Veronica McLennan as the principal of Riverview Middle School and to welcome her to my community. And I am also a Disney adult, so we're glad to have you on board.
Second.
So we have a motion by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee Cowan in the appointment of Veronica McLennan for the principal of Riverview Middle School. Trustee Ochoa.
Yes.
Thank you. Don't you love the way she says yes? It just rolls right there. And the motion is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Congratulations, Veronica. And welcome.
Yeah, we want to welcome you.
Thank you. I warn you, I love to talk, so I'm really going to try and keep it brief
20
because, you know,
seconds.
right? 20 seconds. Well, we'll get there. So I definitely want to thank you, members of the board, for entrusting me with the Riverview School. I'm super excited to serve in the Mount Diablo Unified School District, and I'm even more excited to lead the Riverview Middle School. And I look forward to getting to know you all. Thank you so much.
Do you have anyone here with you tonight?
Well, you know, my husband is running the kids. You know, I
Okay.
have a cheerleader and a football player, and they're doing all the
Yep,
things.
yeah.
So yes, so he has the kid duty tonight. But I do have one of my dearest friends with me,
Please.
Dana Gaspard.
Where's Dana? All right,
Okay.
great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah. If you need this thing, you need to require it.
So now we're ready for reports.
People that like to go there even without kids.
That's where I'm going next week.
Okay. Next week. So you're finally making up for the January trip, isn't it? Okay. Yeah.
Right, I have with me today Gianna Thompson from Bridge, who's going to help present on our topic. All right, so what we wanted to talk about is share some good news. Every time special ed, we talk about last time the grant that was taken away with the federal budget cuts, but we did want to let everybody know about some of the really good work that's happening in the district regarding transition. With me, I have Gianna Thompson from Bridge, who brought a new program to our district that I'm excited to share. Her idea, her brainchild, her legwork, and it's changed things tremendously. So follow up on that grant. The grant did go away, but we do still have the materials available that we really are trying to work with our students on self-determination, making their own decisions, making their own plans, short-term, long-term goals. Part of the federal law is that we really are required to do transition planning. We all know that people with disabilities are unemployed and underemployed at much greater rates than would be expected in the general population. So we are required to do comprehensive transition plans in the areas of employment and education and independent living. And in the state of California, there's 3 agencies involved in those transition services for young adults with disabilities. So it's really essential that we work with them. The education part, obviously, and that's our workability known as Department of Rehabilitation, but for obvious reasons, that was a bit confusing. And then the Department of Developmental Services, and they really work on that independent living part. So again, it's important that we have all 3. The district has and has had for a very long time a very robust workability program through the Department of Education. Each year we're required to serve about 850 kids, but right now we're serving at about 1,200. Wow. The good news about that is of those 1,200, we're required to get 140 of those kids jobs, and we've exceeded it. We actually did that earlier in February. The good news is, though, 72 of those are doing paid employment, and about half of those are actually working in our partner after-school programs. So not only are we getting kids jobs and internships through that grant, we're actually increasing our staff, our employees. So that's a nice thing. Some of the other people are working at a whole variety of places, including restaurants, Ultimate Fieldhouse, Walgreens, whatever the thing is, whatever their interests are, however that is aligned. We've also recently partnered with the American Job Corps for field trips, but all of this is old stuff. We've been doing it for a while. What I really wanted to talk about today was our department We Can Work grant, and that's where I'm turning it over to Gianna.
Okay. Hi. So we are wrapping up our second year with the We Can Work grant, and we have served 35 students between last year and this year. Our cap is 30 a year, and so students graduated out last year, and then we put some new students on board this year. So we're currently serving 28 out of our max 30. Which is wonderful. So currently we're working at 2 of the grocery outlets, and the We Can Work grant also funds wages for our on-campus Friends Cafe. So this, between workability and the Friends Cafe and working at grocery outlet, it gives the students at Bridge kind of 3 different levels to work up to, which increases the hours, the responsibilities as you move up to more responsibility in our work program. So we work 2 days a week, 3.5 hours a day at grocery outlet, and the benefits are amazing. So I could speak for an hour, but I've shortened my enthusiasm to just a couple minutes. One of my favorite benefits that I've been able to witness is the community engagement and involvement among the staff, the company staff, and the community themselves. The community loves seeing our students. And if you ever been to grocery outlet, they have regulars, and they come to see our students. I promise you. And so the employers are able to see our students in action and their capabilities, and see them grow, and see that they can make small accommodations to help our students be successful on the work sites. One of our students has recently been training for a cashier, which is a huge responsibility. And I think that it is definitely because we are there often. This is her second year, and she has a job when she graduates in December if she wants it. They love her there. So students get a chance to try several different jobs on the site. They train under different coworkers, and they get to find out what works best for them. So some have realized they like working outside. Some like working in front of customers and talking with them a lot, while others like to just organize and kind of keep to themselves. They also get to write that they have experience when they leave Bridge and write a resume. We know how difficult it can be to try to get your first job if you have no experience to put on your resume. So now they have some valid skills and some work experience that they get to leave Bridge with. There's, of course, the money. So students are receiving a nice paycheck, and this gives them the opportunity to really understand budgeting and the value of money, because they are now making it on their own. So with their paychecks, some students have started pitching in for their phone bills, saving for family vacations, buying groceries for their home, helping their pets get care, and of course, buying video games, DVDs, and all the other things that young adults enjoy purchasing. Either way, it gives me the opportunity to teach them budgeting in a really meaningful way. They are also now enrolled in DOR. So when they leave Bridge, they have a meeting with a counselor, and the counselor works with them to decide if they would like to continue services once they age out of Bridge. And that's a huge thing as well, because what I've heard previously from parents is getting them into the Department of Rehab was a little bit of a lengthy process or a lot of continuous calling. And so now it's already set up for them if they want to continue working and seeking services. For our future, I hope to get more work sites that offer different environments so we can offer a variety of experience. This is not due to a lack of effort, but rather a lack of company willing to give us the initial chance. But we greatly appreciate Grocery Outlet for being so inclusive, kind, and open to work with us. And overall, it's been the success that I've hoped for.
Thank you.
No, don't go yet. They might need you for this too. Because this is the other part that's quite exciting. Last year, we brought to you a series of courses for the alternative diploma for our kids with disabilities. And we are very pleased to say that we did adopt those courses. And of our 23 kids who are aging out of the high schools, 11 of them are eligible for the alternative diploma, although they're all still planning to go to Bridge, which is what we want. The whole idea was to revitalize Bridge to make it more of a meaningful transition program while continuing to work on the academics. In addition, 48 students at Bridge out of the current 86 are also receiving their alternative diploma this year. So they can not only walk in with a resume with job experience, they can also walk in with, yes, I have a diploma. So you still have to interview, you still have to do all the things that everybody else has to do, but now you got 2 tickets in your pocket. So it's quite exciting. And again, the matriculating seniors will also at the comprehensive one. So overall, it was bad news with the grant, but our transition programs are going great, and it's having an absolute positive impact on our students. So thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Any questions, comments?
I have a question after the board members.
John has tried twice to leave, if anyone's noticed that.
Sorry, what was our question?
I guess it's not so much a question as just a comment. I'm just so impressed and with what you've done here, and then congratulations to you both, because I think Ms. Aguili, with your leadership and encouraging people who work for you to be able to be innovative and come up with these ideas and take them and run with them is amazing. And Gianna, just the way that you've put this together, all of the different elements, right? You needed all of them. You needed the funding. You also needed the employer, the grocery outlet as a starting point. And I think what we often see kind of throughout this country is people just will say, you know, just have low expectations for people for all kinds of various reasons, right? And this is the type of program that shows that no, these students can be independent, they can make their own money, they can learn to budget, they can be successful. And so I'm just so excited about what you're doing, and so excited for how it can grow in our district. So thank you.
So my comment wasn't a question. Is you used to send me very direct emails some time ago. So yes. So I'm just asking, like, does this meet what we were discussing several years back as we were having these conversations?
Yes, definitely. And I was thinking, I was here several years ago.
Yeah.
Talking about how I wanted to do this and asking for the support, and I received the support, and we took it and ran with it, and we are happy, and students are happy. So.
Good. I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you do. You know, I love visiting the school. I love visiting Friends Cafe, and I'm just glad that you were able to bring this to fruition, because I know you were very frustrated some years back about the lack of opportunities for your students. So thank you for sticking with it.
If anyone wants to visit Grocery Outlet, you know, reach out to me and we'll set up a time.
Are they at a particular, because I know there are many grocery outlets, are they at a particular one or?
The Willow Pass one and the Ignacio and Clayton one. Okay. The Willow Pass one's going through some management changes, so things are interesting there. But the other one's set up and ready, so yeah.
Wonderful. And the Disability Works California, or this is a state funded grant, yes? Okay. So I would recommend inviting your state assembly member or state senator out to visit as well, for them to see how this strong investment of the state funds has been successful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to just give a quick shout out. You can also see our students at BJ's, Rocco's, Bambino's, Walgreens, and Carlton Senior Living. They partnered with us too. We need to give them recognition.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vargas.
Yeah, now we have Mr. Vargas with the May Revise. You bringing us some good news from Sacramento?
See, you got jokes. I'm bringing. I'm bringing news. So I was just thinking about. I'm following that. And that's a great program to follow, because I've had personal experience with that with my oldest daughter. So just to see that is just, she did the same program, and yeah, good things. So yes, I'm here tonight to talk about the May Revise, which was just released this morning at about 10:30. So I'm just going to go through some big highlights. So the Prop 98 guarantee is what basically funds school districts. And so with the May Revise, they're budgeting it at 117.6 million this year, which you'll start to read is 1.3 billion less than what they are supposed to pay us. And that's a strategy to reduce the risk of over appropriating funds to the districts without finalizing final revenues. So that's one big thing that happened with the May Revise. The COLA for next year got lowered from 2.43. That was the January number, to 2.3% for next year. If we were to use the same enrollment figures, it's roughly about a little under 500,000 per year in our multi-year. So that is another big change. And then the governor still has in his proposal for next year the student to adult ratio reduction in TK. So they are allocating 1.2 billion to support that. It's 300 million less than the January proposal. And then the other big piece to the May Revise is, if you remember, I was talking about a one-time discretionary block grant. So that is still in his proposal. It's not at 1.8 billion. That one dropped a little bit at 1.7 billion. And then again, these are one-time funds. If this goes through with the enacted budget, that's roughly about $300 per ADA. So that could mean about $8 million for Mount Diablo and one-time funds. There's almost $91 million in ongoing funds to continue the full support of universal meals for 25-26. And then just some of our own things to think about because this is the last meeting before we bring the proposed budget, June 11th. Our P2 was filed at the end of April. And so we were roughly about we were at 93.01% when you do the ADA to CBIDS enrollment. So that holds the assumption that I talked about at second interim. So that's good news for us that we're going to continue with that assumption. And then we continue to monitor our enrollment trends with the pre-registration numbers. And so we might see a change in that when we bring the proposed budget back June 11th. But what will be more interesting is when we go to the school services workshop next week. We call it all the ABCs will start doing their May revise updates. I think CSBA has one Monday, which I'll be doing. School services is on Wednesday. But the most important piece about school services is they'll release the dartboard, which has the out-year COLAs. And so we'll see what those changes are, because those will affect the multi-year. Because again, when we are turning in our adopted budget to the county, they're looking at your 3-year multi-year. So like I said, we have those workshops coming up, and we'll be doing the proposed budget at the June 11th meeting. So I'll take any questions, but like I said, it came out at 10:30 this morning, and all the articles are starting to come out.
I saw them rolling in on our emails. Thank you very much for the report. Okay.
I think I have the next one too. Yes. Before you start, the next one, 12.3 is a presentation from Schneider Electric, and I want to thank Schneider for coming out today and submitting your presentation earlier, and let the community or staff or whoever view the slides on the presentation. But just want to really thank you guys for coming out, and we're going to give you time to do your presentation, and then we're going to open up to questions from the board, and I'm sure there'll probably be some public comments. So thank you. Go ahead, Adrian.
So go ahead. There is a public comment. So okay,
Well,
go ahead.
I'll introduce the 3 people that are here with Schneider. So we have Elliot Feldman, Jordan Lerner, and Brandon Bedford from Schneider, and they will be doing the presentation.
Okay. Mrs. Ortega?
Okay, I'm back. This is probably a record for me, but I'm doing my due diligence as president, reading the agenda. So I would like to remind the school board and Schneider Electric of the over 100 adverse working conditions forms my Medea members submitted because of the botch upgrades Schneider Electric and the district impose on our educators and students. I hope in their presentation they will address moving forward how they will resolve all these issues immediately so that we do not have a repeat of the same when temperatures start to peak again. Please keep in mind that you cannot put a cost on the learning conditions of our students and the working conditions of my members. Everyone in Mount Diablo deserves a safe space to learn and work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Nice to see you again. Dr. Clark, thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you all for the invite and the opportunity to be here. Again, Elliot Feldman, Senior Program Manager with Schneider Electric. Joining me, Jordan Lerner, our Regional Vice President, as well as Brandon Bedford, our Director of Operations. So, we're excited to be here as we're getting pretty close to wrapping up the project, but we also appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you all. As you probably well know, we've been engaged with the CBOC as well as your staff quite a bit, dealing in addressing questions and comments and really working through to ensure that we're giving our best effort for this project. But we want to make sure we had an opportunity to speak directly with you and answer any questions that you might have. So that's primarily the goal of tonight's presentation. I will do a little bit of kind of background work just to explain the process. I believe there's maybe one new board member that was not here involved when we started this process, so we'll travel back in time just a little bit. And then Brandon's really going to lead the effort here on a lot of the project updates, as well as hopefully address some of the comments and concerns that you might have. Please feel free to jump in with questions at any point. We're happy to discuss anything that you might want to bring up. Again, just kind of covered most of this, but we're trying to pick out some of the key things that we think you maybe have questions about or had been brought up in some of the CBOC meetings. So starting back in 2021, believe it or not, the district issued a request for qualifications for a project focused around building automation upgrades, LED lighting, and HVAC upgrades. We, along with some other firms, responded, and Schneider Electric was selected as the best value provider. A couple key parts of this request for qualifications was that it did stress the opportunity to have multiple agreements with the selected vendor, and it would be implemented under California Government Code 4217 10-18. And for anyone that's not familiar with that, that's essentially the energy savings procurement route. From there, in April of 22, we had our design or investment grade audit contract approved, allowing us to start the design work for the building automation systems, the lighting, and everything that was requested in the qualifications. We're going to talk in the next slide a little bit about the pathways of our project, but essentially in May of 22 and then March of 23, we had two separate construction amendments that tied back to the original request of work, again, for starting with lighting and then HVAC and controls. And so just to remind the group and for anyone that wasn't involved in the process, we had always looked at the project comprehensively, but because of different timelines for both implementation as well as potential to save energy, we recommended that the district could follow three separate tracks. And really, track one was LED lighting. This is your lowest hanging fruits, getting energy savings in the door. We could go out and implement this work fairly quickly, so it was prioritized as the first track. Project scope on that was roughly around 24 million, similar to the track two, as you'll see, and details around the project are highlighted in the right. I won't go into too much detail because it's clearly all there, but again, this was district-wide upgrades. From there, we moved forward with our track two, and this was for district-wide building automation system upgrades, as well as working with the existing system, interconnecting those two, and then non-DSA approved or needing improvement HVAC. Again, district-wide. Roughly, again, about $25 million, all tying back to the original intent of the RFQ, our response, and essentially allowing for some work to be fast-tracked while other work, which had longer procurement and design timelines, to come in the back. There was a third scope of work that was always discussed, that was track three, related to HVAC installs that would require to go through DSA. However, it was always our understanding that the district reserved the right to pursue that path if they wanted, if funding was available. So we were really focused on track one and two. I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to talk a little bit about the updates for the project, but if there's any questions about what transpired prior to getting under contract, happy to answer them.
So starting with scope updates, the scope for project scope 1 remained focused on energy efficient lighting at comprehensively at 52 district sites. It also included 2 years of energy management services to advise the district and to monitor utility usage and give the district advice. And along the way, last summer, we did negotiate a no-cost change order with the district. That was initiated because this project scope 1 also included a small portion of replacing lenses on existing light fixtures, as well as discolored or damaged ceiling tiles. And then as we proceeded with the project, what we discovered was that there was a greater need at the district to replace some existing outdoor lighting control panels that were not originally in our scope because they were already being controlled, but they were on a wireless system that the district was having problems with. So we worked with the district to reprioritize the scope away from ceiling tile replacements into replacing a portion of those wireless lighting control panels so that the district didn't have problems with lights not coming on at night and things of that nature. Again, we worked with the district amicably to stay within the district's budget and not increase project price.
So I'm sorry, were you saying that that was done instead of then? So we have some ceiling tiles and light fixtures that were then not replaced because we prioritized
just ceiling
the
tiles.
other.
We didn't remove any light fixture retrofits. The ceiling tile replacements were never designed to be comprehensive. It was basically a small portion of ceiling tiles that were available so that as we were doing our work, the district could say, well, these ceiling tiles over here don't look good. Let's replace those. I think in execution, as we started doing that, realized that replacing a few ceiling tiles here and there weren't going to have as much of an impact for the district as it would if we would resolve the exterior lighting controls where, a school site that's dark at night has, a big dramatic impact as opposed to a few ceiling tiles here and there scattered throughout the district. So in project scope 2, it's HVAC upgrades. The HVAC upgrades are not comprehensive at all district sites. It's only at 21 district sites. Again, it was focused on replacing equipment that was at the end of useful life that also did not trigger DSA permitting requirements. Therefore, it could go through design and construction more quickly. And then also building control system upgrades at 52 sites. So a comprehensive building control upgrade. District already had a decent amount of controls infrastructure. So we upgraded existing controls where we could, installed new controls where needed to bring everything up to a comprehensive standardized system throughout the district. On this project, there's also a no-cost change order. It'd be change order 2. It's currently pending. So this is similar story as the first scope. So in project scope 2, there are 3 sites where the controls upgrades ended up being duplicate with your modernization projects. So the district asked us to remove that scope from our project, and instead we're mostly picking up more of those exterior lighting control panels. And then we're also picking up other odds and ends and other HVAC replacements and things of that nature. Again, working with the district to stay within the budget and reprioritize the scope on where it would have the most impact for the district. So schedule update, project scope 1 for lighting is complete and achieved an official substantial completion on January of 2024. For project scope 2, we have requested HVAC substantial completion as of March of this year. That would have been a little bit sooner, but some of the change order, no cost change order work where we added in a couple extra units caused us to have to do some of that work earlier this year. And so we've now requested that substantial completion and it's pending the district's review. And then we're still working on the building automation system, the controls. We are on what we're calling a recovery schedule. We had intended to be done with that work closer to December, January. So we worked with our subcontractors to develop a recovery schedule and propose that to the district and coordinated with the M&O office, and happy to report that we're currently on schedule with the recovery schedule and on track to close the project out this summer. So we also wanted to address issues. and want to start first and foremost with comfort issues. It's always our goal to not have a negative impact on building occupants when we're doing our projects. We acknowledge we're in a construction field. Our form of construction is retrofits of occupied buildings. On top of that, they're classrooms. So we recognize they're sensitive spaces, and it's our goal to not have a negative impact to that extent. As communicated earlier, we didn't achieve that goal here, and for what it's worth, I do want to sincerely apologize for any inconveniences we've caused along the way. Do want to explain for you all to understand I think the bulk of the comfort complaints really came to a head last fall, especially revolving around late October 2024 when the weather dramatically shifted into winter. Big winter storm hit overnight. That was shortly after we had implemented some new software integration at 25 of the sites that have a VRF type of system. It stands for variable refrigerant flow. The VRF systems have their own manufacturer controls on them that have to manage the VRF system themselves. So we integrate our software on top of that to send it commands for things like set points and time of day scheduling and things of that nature. We did attempt to beta test that software integration before the weather change. We did the beta testing at a couple sites for a couple months, and the beta testing went well. Unfortunately, our beta testing didn't uncover the exact situation and circumstances that arose when the weather changed. And what we discovered when the weather changed was at all those sites, it was very erratic controls and unpredictable things were happening with the HVAC. It should be in the occupied mode, and it was in the unoccupied mode, so the teachers were cold, things of that nature. Since it was happening at all the sites that we just implemented that software at, our immediate assumption was that, okay, there's something wrong with the software. And it's unfortunate because we immediately went into diagnosis mode to figure out, to root out the cause. And in order to do that diagnosis, we needed to start eliminating variables. And so one of the first things we did is we locked all the thermostats at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And I realized that in the moment that definitely made the situation worse for the occupants, because not only were things unpredictable, but now they effectively lost control of their own thermostat. We only did that as a temporary measure as we were trying to eliminate variables and debug the software and figure out what was going on. That did help us figure out the issue. By the end of, or by mid-November, so within a few weeks, we had figured out that there were two things going on here. There was a bug in how the software was being received by the local control system that we had to debug from a technical software standpoint. But then also with the existing local manufacturer controls, there were some physical switches that were not set up initially as to be expected to be based on thermostat controls as opposed to return air temperature sensor. That issue basically was not something you would have seen until we started trying to send software commands to it. And then the software commands conflicted with the way that physical setup was. So that unique mix of software not communicating correctly combined with an unexpected way for the existing controls to be physically set up caused us some consternation to figure it out. But within a few weeks, we did figure it out. We're very thankful to your M&O department that once we figured it out, they were great partners to us to mobilize. We brought in multiple people of our staff, but the M&O staff also went out in the field and helped us quickly reconfigure the physical controls, and we implemented new software, and we were able to release the thermostats back to the teacher by December. And then fast forward a few months earlier this year, the district also gave us new clarifications on what heating and cooling set point ranges were desired for the teachers. So we reconfigured the software to implement that change as well. And we're happy to report that since we've made these efforts and since we've made these changes, that the comfort complaints that we're receiving have significantly reduced. And we are now actively working with the district to finish the controls installation. The district's M&O staff has been doing punch walks with us for the last few weeks to go physically review the installation of the controls that we've put in, and the punch walks have progressed well. And as of today, we started setting up schedules to work with the district staff on training on how to use the graphical user interfaces and how to utilize the software.
Through the chair. who, when you say you took back control, so are these controlled by the temperature outside or by the temperature a teacher sets in their classroom or by the district? Because I know Contra Costa County had so much trouble with their air conditioning because this office wanted it at 60 degrees and this one wanted it 80, that they set a limit. It was going to be 72 throughout. If you were not comfortable at 72, wear a sweater or wear a t-shirt, whatever. So how is this set up? Because if you go individually by classroom, every classroom is going to be different. They're going to have the air conditioner blowing and the door open. And I think that creates a lot of the problems. So I'm just curious.
Right. So that's where in March 2025, we implemented the district's new set point policies. I think is what you're, because the air conditioning does control to the set point in the room measured at the local thermostat. And the teachers do have the ability to adjust the set point up and down. What we implemented in March was that staff are given the ability to warm their spaces to 73 degrees and then cool down to 68 degrees.
So there's a limit.
There is a limit, yes.
So what is the purpose of the limit? Do we think that a human being in a classroom is going to like do some kind of really crazy temperature that's going to use a lot of energy and we want to prevent them from doing that?
Set point limits, from our perspective as an energy services company, it is from an energy saving strategy standpoint, and to try to keep set points within some reasonable thresholds so that we're not overheating or undercooling spaces to an excess, you could say, and utilizing too much energy. There's also the reality that at some point there's only so much the HVAC systems can do. So even if we kept lowering the cooling set point lower, the mechanical systems themselves might not be designed to achieve that low of a set point when it's 98 degrees outside.
Okay. So can I just go back to where you were describing the process in the first place? You said, okay, so we did the control upgrade at 52 sites and we installed new controls where needed. So when you say you installed new controls where needed, my understanding was that part of the problem that you ran into was that there were at least 3 different types of controllers and that you needed to figure out how to reprogram different types of controllers. Why would you not just replace the controllers? If it's really that difficult, why not replace with the controls that you know how to work?
That's a good question. So the issue we are describing was specific to the sites that have variable refrigerant flow systems. And I'll say this is a unique type of air conditioning system. It's not the type of system you would find in most houses or apartments.
Is it something you'd find in many schools?
It's used in schools, yes, and that would be a common application. But this type of system isn't as simple as being able to put individual thermostats on individual rooms, because it's more similar to taking 5 or 6 standard split systems in 5 or 6 classrooms and taking those split systems and combining them together in one common refrigerant system. And when you do that with refrigeration, you need specialized controls to make sure that your refrigerant and the oil in the refrigerant doesn't get migrated to the point where you might burn a compressor up. So that's where it gets into the point that the manufacturers of the VRF system have to put manufactured controls on them, and they're controlling that specialty part of it. And then they allow communication via software integration for a building automation system to have like mastery control over things like what set point do you want, what time of day do you want to be occupied, what time of day do you want to be unoccupied.
So when you first bid on our system, were you aware that we had VRF?
We were, yes.
And have you worked with VRF in other districts successfully?
We have, yes.
With the same controls that we have on there?
Yes. It's a Mitsubishi system.
Okay. So when you say that you ran into, you did attempt to beta test before the weather changed, but that didn't uncover the exact issue until the weather changed. So, and there were 2 issues. You described needing to debug your software, but also that the existing manufacturer control switches were not set properly and that you wouldn't see that until you tried to send a control. Did you not try to send a control during the beta testing?
And that's where I think our beta testing came up short, in that we didn't send a wide enough example of signals and simulate enough scenarios to have then uncovered, like, uh-oh, there's a bug here.
And so in past school districts where you have done this, first of all, let me ask, in other school districts where you have installed lighting and also HVAC, have you done this type of system-wide controls system before in other school districts successfully?
Yes.
Have those been with situations like this where you have VRF and two other types of control systems?
Yes.
And in those situations, did you beta test in one school and then from there decide to suddenly go to 52 school sites all at once?
I believe so, yes. When we beta test, we usually beta test a sample of typical schools and then make decisions on how to mobilize from there.
And so what was different, if in fact you were successful at those other school sites, what was so different about our site? Because this was unforeseen to you, it was unforeseen to us, and our students and teachers suffered for months as a result of your inadequate beta test.
Yeah, and we're deeply sorry for the inconveniences that caused. You're highlighting a really important point. So I think Brandon alluded to, we didn't beta test it correctly in as many variables as we should have, and when the exterior conditions hit, that's what tripped it up. But we also for us, it's been a learning lesson about the rollout of that, then locking of the system, because it impacted so many. So we've kind of discussed internally about smaller testing, or more wide testing, in the sense of making sure we're getting it correct before we roll out something at that scale. So we're deeply sorry for that inconvenience. We've taken that as a lessons learned, and definitely something we will be very mindful of moving forward, is the scale to which we're trying to debug something, like do something right, but obviously didn't think about the negative unintended consequences that it caused.
So how many other school districts had you done this scenario successfully in before ours? Because it feels like we are your beta test.
You're not our beta test. I'm sorry, I don't have an exact count of schools that we've done with this scenario.
Okay.
To your point about lessons learned, since we implemented the changes in March, we only did it on the 25 sites that were already affected. And we've been letting that run and giving it time to see if any other issues uncover before we push the same software changes out to the remaining sites that have VRF. We are now getting to the point where we've seen it running successfully for going on a couple months now. And we've continued to work with the district staff on doing punchless walks of the physical installation itself. And we're now preparing to start rolling out the remaining software here as we move towards project closeout.
So when you roll it out to the remaining sites, you feel that it will be successful and that we won't run into the same issue. But it sounds to me from our teachers union that there are issues still happening today with the existing changes that you've made.
So the comfort complaints that have been extended to Schneider have dropped off dramatically, if not kind of gone to zero. I've checked in with the M&O office, and they've confirmed there still are other issues that come in and other complaints, but they haven't been determined to be related to our project, as much as there's other HVAC systems out there that we didn't replace. There's other mechanical failures that happen as a part of kind of the normal course of doing business. That's not to diminish the fact that there's other complaints, but they haven't been correlated with our work.
Okay. I appreciate your apologies, but I also feel that there's an unmeasurable cost to the comfort of our classrooms, but there is also a measurable cost. I think in many of these cases we did purchase and run a lot of extra energy by giving teachers heaters or fans and things like that during this time period that we could actually cost out. Is that if we give you what the cost of what this is that you caused, is that something that you would be willing to discuss reimbursing us for?
I think we'd be willing to consider any proposals the district would want to offer on that front.
Thank you.
Okay, there's, okay, to move forward.
Good.
So there's also an update related to the Department of Industrial Relations. So in August of 2024, we received 2 notices of investigation from DIR. They're related to 2 of our sub-tier subcontractors. And they're because the DIR received complaints of violations potentially related to apprenticeship programs and apprenticeship compliance. Since we've received those notices, both Schneider and our subs have provided all unredacted requested information to DIR. And Schneider continues to periodically check in with DIR to request status and also to see if there's anything else we can do to facilitate the investigation and help bring it to an appropriate conclusion. At this time, the DIR hasn't actually provided us any updates on that front. They're still working through their process. The ball's in their court, but we will continue to reach out and offer our support to help get the investigation to its appropriate conclusion. I can confirm that throughout the construction and contracting process, we did follow the DIR regulations for things like electronic certified payroll. And we will work with DIR to support their efforts to have an investigation.
Yeah, just thank you. And thank you for giving us the time. And I guess I'm the end of our formal presentation, but we did want to, describe some other benefits by the district contracting at the time they did. There were a lot of cost savings from the standpoint of we've seen cost of mechanical equipment and basically everything related to construction go up precipitously. So by taking the actions the district did, and we do want to recognize that you guys were very intentional, and it's benefited the district greatly, because had you gone out today to go do this work, it would be precipitatively more expensive because just the cost of materials and labor to some degree, but largely materials has gone up significantly over the last 3 years. And then we have continued to work in partnership with the district to secure funds. We did secure about $10 million in grant funds for work that we will not be doing for the district. I think you're taking action on one of those later tonight, potentially. And so we've got a lot of experience with the California Resources Board and their local groups, and helped you guys find some funding for some electric vehicle infrastructure. And we continue to work regularly with your M&O staff as they identify things to bring to our attention. If there's funding needs, we've tried to be a good partner to the district and help find funds, whether they directly impact us or really for you and your community and your students. We continue to work in good partnership to try and find funds. And we heard earlier tonight how challenging it is on funding throughout the state and throughout the federal government. So we hope to continue to be that resource and help fill gaps where we can.
I have a question.
You bet.
I'm the new guy here, so I'm trying to catch up on all this. But this current work outside the current scope, can you describe some of those things that you did for us that got the $10 million for?
Yeah, Elliot actually secured a lot of these grants directly.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So the first portion of it is through the CalShape or Assembly Bill 841 grant. It's focused on indoor air quality. So essentially improvements to air ducts, cleaning of HVAC systems, audits to tell indoor air quality. We helped the district submit a grant application for that. They received a significant sum of money to do that work. And then the second piece, and we've recently become kind of a real leader in the electric school bus infrastructure space, having worked with a lot of school districts all throughout California to help really integrate their school bus projects and make sure they have the infrastructure to do that. So the Bay Area Air Quality Management District had a grant of open for infrastructure as well as buses. So we helped kind of the district navigate that grant process, we leveraged some of our relationships with the air quality district, as well as submitted a preliminary proposal that we fully knew that we were not guaranteed any of this work, and we were offering this as a benefit. But yeah, in total about $10 million, and we, as Jordan mentioned, we really feel strongly about our partnership. We do this with almost every one of our clients. If we can help find more funding for the district, it's part of our value add, and we understand that might not be work coming our way, but that's why we've done so much work in California and have so many repeat business clients.
Okay. And then an overall question, because I understand the project originally was to save energy. Has there been any measurement of energy savings that you can point to with these projects?
I'm going to defer to our technical. Sure. Happy to answer some of the other pieces too, but in terms of the stuff that we've looked at.
Oh, sure. So as a point of clarification, yes, this is a Government Code 4217 procured project, so it's an energy project. Government Code 4217 does not require guarantee of energy savings, nor does it require measurement and verification of savings. This
But
project,
there were some ideas about us getting energy savings, right?
Right.
So we
Right.
should be able to measure that some way.
Right. So if we were to fully measure the impact of savings, it typically would involve a very thorough measurement and verification plan that's spelled out in the contract and requires a level of engineering due diligence. So we're not currently providing that service for this project. We have looked at just utility trends, and that's just looking at utility usage at your utility meters. We've looked at trends. It's hard for us to definitively say there's any conclusions there, because what's also in the utility meters we're looking at is all the existing solar PV systems. And over time, as the solar PV systems degrade, and in this case, we were seeing solar PV systems starting to fall offline before the solar PV provider went out of business and access to that data disappeared. So it was somewhat inconclusive to say what was the impact of our project, because there was also the impact of the solar PV going offline, and you're seeing those things offset to some degree. And so while when we've presented these trends before, we've shown that we can't really definitively tell you what the exact impact of our project has been while just looking at the utility meters.
Darn.
Yeah. One thing that you could reference is in the contract for track 1, there is a lighting, what we call line by line. So every light bulb that was replaced. So there's an existing wattage and then a new proposed LED wattage. I mean, I think that's a pretty clear data point of energy savings right there, because you're using a less wattage. But as Brandon alluded to, and again, what we had agreed upon in this contract, there are a lot of variables that can impact the total savings.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a comment for Trustee Count. Thank you for articulating in such a clear way questions that I had. And in my head were way, like I was gonna say, why was it so messy? So I appreciate your engineering mind, even though it comes from Stanford. Thank you.
Whoa.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Calbert. Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, I think, yes, energy savings, but I think our overall goal, the reason why we really wanted to move forward quickly with this was because it was during COVID, we were recognizing that the quality of our air makes a huge difference for the health of our students, our teachers, our staff. And, that was something we were trying to solve. And it's something we've always wanted to do in our school sites, but it became even more important and urgent, after COVID. And so, yes, my background is in control systems, electrical engineering, and I'm just sorely disappointed in your ability to do a basic plan to be successful, to beta test properly on something that we thought you were the experts in. So what I would like to see is if you could give me a few names of people that I can talk to at districts where you have implemented this successfully, because I would like to see what it was supposed to look like and what hopefully ours will look like by June, by the time that you actually are signed off and done. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a more than fair request. We're happy to follow up. Just to clarify, so I think a lot of the issues stemmed on the VRF systems. Would it be appropriate if we've given some references for that, but then also just controls comprehensively? Because I think, what shouldn't be lost in this is Brandon and his team did a good job on some of the other components of it. And we did absolutely run into an issue on the VRF and should have done the control and debugging in a different manner, lessons learned. But I'd like to give you, a couple different data points and folks to talk to if that's all right.
Yeah, because I mean, with any project, right, you have your limitations. You have certain things that you're not supposed to go beyond, right? And in this case, it was kids and teachers in that classroom, right, that we needed to not affect even during the time that you were working on this. And so those are the variables that really made the most difference, right? And so even though you did a good job on some parts, that's not what it looks like in the end, right? And so I would like to hear what it looked like to the teachers and the students at the school districts where this was successful and what it looks like when it's complete so that we know what it is that we are going to see in the end, hopefully. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for answering all the questions and doing the presentation. We appreciate it. And if you want to email that to Melanie or Adrian or something like that, that'd be great. And we'll get that to the board. All right. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. We're ready for board member reports. Let's start with Trustee Cound.
Oh my goodness. Have I not talked enough yet tonight? Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Some fun things. I attended the Mount Diablo Education Foundation Bocce Ball fundraiser. It was wonderful. Thank you to support from some of our local unions and engineering firms who sponsored, and everyone who came out to play. Also just want to give props to Dr. Clark, and everyone who organized the Willie Mims Award Night. It was just incredible and so uplifting and so many engaged families. And when we talk about that is something that we want to increase, I mean, wow, the energy in the room, right? And seeing people coming from all of the different schools was just incredible. Spent some time listening to teachers in adult ed, KVHS radio volunteers, people with cell phone concerns. But I also took 3 days off work to fly to DC to lobby for our public schools with 300 plus California school board members and superintendents from every county in our state. So thank you for letting me be your rep for CSBA. Coast to coast. So our top asks there were for Congress to fulfill its promise from the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1975. That promise was that the federal government was going to pay 40% of our special education costs. Every year since then, we've been hovering around 10%. So we really want the ask to the federal government was not just to keep special education and please don't cut it. It was really to increase it to the promised 40% that was promised back in 1975. If that were to have happened, it would give MDUSD an additional $34 million per year. Our second ask was to fund universal school meals. We know that universal school meals proved to be effective. We proved it during COVID when the federal government did provide that. It reduces stigma, creates a healthy learning environment for all, and also reduces unnecessary bureaucratic paperwork. Don't we all love that? Of people from all stripes should love that. So the current proposed federal funding cut is predicted to remove in Mount Diablo 15 schools, which is 9,524 students, from eligibility for federally funded school meals. So we had our sort of typical asks that one has when we're lobbying, but this year was different, right? This was not like any time that I've ever lobbied on the Hill before. And any individual bill actually seems very small compared to what's happening right now with Congress. So President Trump is asking Congress to make massive cuts all in one fell swoop. Originally, it was supposed to be done a couple weeks ago. Then the deadline got pushed out to maybe Memorial Day. And last I heard, they're hoping to do it before July 4th, but it includes, it's the big, beautiful bill, right? So it's everything. It's one big decision all at once that's going to affect us all tremendously. And individual bills will not be the same, right? So it includes at least $880 billion in reductions which mathematically cannot be done without slashing Medicaid. And you guys know I love math, all right? So I know it can't be done without slashing Medicaid. In California, Medicaid is called Medi-Cal. So if you're familiar with Medi-Cal, that's what it is. It covers 3 in 7 children. And schools, like ours in California, receive over $1 billion for health services that are provided by our schools. So in our district, that includes valued mental health services like our wellness centers that people of all, political persuasions say is important, as well as crucial complex medical care during school that our special needs students need. So that's big. Pay attention. Do what you can to advocate. Also, while I was there, there was a Georgetown Edunomic Lab webinar, which I can share the link to, or I think I did on my website, but it's called Making Sense of Federal and Other Financial Risks for K-12. And my biggest takeaways from that were that there are some high risks that we need to consider for our budget. One big one is the high possibility of a recession. And a recession would trigger a reduction in our state funds, right? Because, well, that would happen to all states, but in particular in California, when the stock market dives, our state funds dive because they're highly dependent on our highest income individuals. And then the other risk is that the fears that our immigrant families have, and the very real deportations that are happening, can cause attendance and enrollment drops. And so, what does that mean? If you're thinking about the particular immigrant students and families, and you care about them, that's wonderful. But even if you don't, if you're just thinking about our funding to our school district, our funding will drop because guess what? Our attendance drops and our enrollment drops. So that hits all of us. Okay. So with both of those things happening potentially at the same time, and the overall federal cuts, the overall message from this webinar and beyond is that we really need to be careful in Mount Diablo to maintain our reserves, to avoid recurring financial commitments, to maintain flexibility for different scenarios, and to track attendance carefully. So that's my good news. But it was a really good bocce tournament. Well, the purpose of going with 300 other people from the state of California, from every county in the state, and from all different political persuasions, to talk to members of Congress from all different political persuasions as one voice. That was the goal. We tried. Thank you.
Trustee Nzewi.
Thank you to Dr. Francis and the entire team, everybody, for the Willie Mims Awards. They were beautiful, as usual, but it was amazing to get to be in a beautiful space, and just to see. I love seeing proud parents because I'm a proud parent, and I love to get to experience that. Given, I think we were in Washington, D.C. the same week. I was not at the Capitol. I was not, but my work colleague was meeting with members on education, including early education issues. And it, like you just said, these are strange times and the meetings are different. And the members that she had the displeasure of meeting with didn't care and weren't engaged in the meeting whatsoever. And that meant they really don't care about any child in our district, any family in our district. And I think we're underestimating our power at the local level, because we're not changing their minds or hearts. Like I said earlier, they love to be loudly wrong. They're everything about their values and their priorities. All the cuts you mentioned, I remind people, those aren't cuts, those are tax breaks for the uber duper rich who have like so much money. So these aren't cuts, these are tax breaks for people who have more money than any of us can ever imagine. And we have to remind ourselves that. And the last line of defense is our local decision makers, our local governments, our school boards, our city councils, our boards of supervisors, our state legislatures, all the commissions, all the different bodies in our communities. We're our last line of defense. And we cannot back down in this madness. We can't. We have no choice. We can't be overwhelmed by their tactics. And we have to stay the course and stay focused on our North Star, which in this body is the children of our community. So that's it.
Trustee Ochoa.
On April 30th and May 7th, I had the chance to host 2 Zoom info sessions for students who may think about applying to be the next student board member. The goal was to give everybody a better idea of what the role involves and to also answer any questions they had. It was really exciting to see how many students showed up and were interested in making a difference. Students asked great questions, some that even made me think about the role in new ways. It was clear that everyone who joined cared a lot about student voices and wanted to learn how they could how they could help make positive changes in our schools. Overall, I was really inspired by the energy in both sessions. I'm confident that the future student board member will continue to do amazing work representing all of us.
Thank you. Trustee Mason.
Not a lot, but I'll go fast. The day after our last meeting, I had gotten an invitation to go, I think we all did, to DVC to an English articulation conference. And sometimes I wonder what my role really is, but I figure if someone takes the time to invite me somewhere, if I'm available, I should go. So I went and I actually had a very wonderful time and got very informed. There were many teachers from our district there. One of the sessions was about teaching nonfiction to kids. And so the book that they were talking about was In Cold Blood, which I read in high school. So I was all in because I took away from that book, never drop your friend off and drive off without waiting to make sure their whole family hasn't been murdered inside the house and they're coming out for help. That's what I've learned from that book. And then they had another one that was really good. It was students talking about, they have learning communities at DVC. So they have the Emoja, the Puente, the Community of Pride, the Academy for Student Athletes. So it's kind of like when I was in high school, a home room. It's a group that get to meet together that have common interest. But then when they're taking their class, there's someone in their class they know that they can connect with, and they do activities on campus and kind of build a little family support, if you will. Then later that day, was that the day I did 3 things? I guess that was only the one thing I had that day. No, I had a DLAC that night, which was a very small group because most of our people were going over to, which I'm sure Dr. Clark will talk a lot about, our celebration of success, which was a success and always a joy. But at DLAC, we talked about LCAP and how we could get parent input and work that into next year's plan. And then I went to Shore Acres the next morning at 8 o'clock for their ELAC. They have like over 30 parents that attend those. And it's really, I don't know what's going on in Bay Point, but I keep telling Dr. Clark that our parents are coming out all the time. On the 26th, I went to Mount Diablo High School for the immigration forum that was there. I cannot say enough about how it was so well done. I went there ready to work, but they didn't need me because they had all these teens working. The atmosphere was just very calm. You could come in, you just sat, you waited for your number to be called. This lovely student would come up and escort you to the room. There were booths, there were people there. It was amazing. We did a very good job, Robert. Good job. And then on the 30th, I went to Bel Air where they had a presentation called Kane's Arcade, which one of our teachers there had watched a video about this young man named Kane who made his own little arcade in his dad's auto shop. So they had all the Bel Air students out of boxes and whatever they had at home making arcade games. Then they spread them all over the playground and had the kids, and they had skee ball and where the ball comes down, and they had one kid even made like Operation, where you had to have the thing go through and not touch the side. If it did, a light went off. And so the kids were out there with their teachers having a great time. And I thank all the teachers at Bel Air for that. I went to the Campus to Commerce event at John Muir that was there to talk about all of our students, about the fun things they were doing. Dr. Clark gave a great talk there. Then I went to the next day, Capacito at Shore Acres with our bilingual counselors, and they had about 15 parents there, and they did a fun activity with the parents and the kids. And then they let the parents know about all the many summer activities there are that their kids can do for free. And then I went to the MIMS Award, which was a great event, and I'm sure Dr. Clark will talk more about that. And then I went to Bel Air the next day for their open house. Again, they were packed, lots of parents there, rooms were open. The student work was amazing. That was all over the rooms. They had caterpillars, they had plants growing. And then the next day I got up at 7:45 and went to Holbrook for the walk and roll to school. And I told the Concord police I would give them a shout out because they were doing construction and some of the sidewalks they like closed the streets and led the kids on the motorcycles. And the kids were all excited to be junior police officers and get their badges. So shout out to them. And then I went to the Art and Digital Media Showcase at Sun Valley Mall, where our high schools had their arts on display, and they actually gave awards to them for the amazing work they do. And they got to have a whole tour of the mall to see the jobs that are available for the things that they're taking. And then I went to Sun Terrace to visit, and they were having their outside picnic day with families, and families were coming at lunch to share lunch with their kids. And I dropped in at Mount Diablo High School just to say hi and see how they were doing. And then I got over to Riverview for the track meet that they had on the new field in the hottest day of the week, but the kids loved it. They were doing well. And then on Monday, Supervisor Scales Preston had a community goal setting meeting at Riverview Middle School. And thank you to the district for having it all set up for them. We had a lot of parents show up, which was exciting. And then yesterday I went to the Mount Diablo High School baseball game against Concord High School. And I'm telling you, that is the longest walk ever, all the way to their backfield. But our guys are getting better. That was the second game I saw. And then on the way home, I stopped by because Rio Vista was having their open house. And again, it was packed. The parents were all there. Classrooms looked great. I'll probably get my head lopped off for this, but I'm sorry, those new classrooms with the new furniture look lovely. That's my report.
Great report. Mr. McDougall.
Well, it was a busy time because we had a lot of time since the last board meeting. April 24th, I went to the Rocket Ship Futuro Academy, one of our charter schools, and attended their Neurodiversity Carnival. And despite the cold, windy weather, this outdoor event was well attended and fun. I was pleasantly surprised to see the very high degree of parental involvement at the school. And it would be nice to see that kind of parental involvement in all the district schools. On the 28th of April, I visited 2 district high schools with Chris Clausen. And I had asked to tour a school that had the Yonder pouches and a school that did not have them. And I noticed a high level of sociability at Mount Diablo High School with the Yonder pouches. Much like my school days, when we didn't have any social media, we were quite social then. But I would have to say that even at Concord High School, that doesn't have Yonder bags, there was a good concentration level in the many classes that we dropped into. And maybe it was because they were close to taking AP tests and other exams coming up, no matter. But even the half measure of putting a wall pouch and putting your phone in there as you came into the classroom seemed to be working well. So I'll have to say that Concord was doing well even without the Yonder pouches. I went to the May 1st Campus to Commerce CTE event and really enjoyed that, seeing all the work that these students have been doing throughout the year. And since all of us went, I'm not going to say much more about that, but that was great. On the 5th of May, I toured the Loma Vista Adult Education Center with Victoria. And I thought funding for the district's budget was complicated, but I learned about the many funding sources that they have at the MDAE. Okay. And it's interesting because I'm going to go back to where they've started entrepreneurial enterprises there. The Pop Shop sells popcorn, and you mentioned earlier the cafe. So I'll have to go try those things because I think this is a great idea to get these people working in entrepreneurial positions. And finally, on May 6th, I had a town hall that was a Zoom meeting, actually, and it worked well. We had about 20 people in attendance, and we addressed lots of topics, which I'm going to have to further give to Dr. Clark for some follow-up. And then on May 9th, I toured the KVHS transmitter tower in North Concord. Very impressed with their successes and want to suggest that we form an exploratory committee. I know that this was considered in past, but I think it might not have been implemented as effectively as it should be. So that's what I'm hoping we might be able to do tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I wasn't as busy as all of you, but I did attend the April 24th You Make a Difference Awards, which are co-hosted by the Community Advisory Committee for Special Education and the Special Education Department. Dr. Clark is the star of the show, I think. If you've attended the event, the littles and the large ones, students, respond to Dr. Clark's smile and greeting like magnets. It's amazing to observe how a small child who is timid about climbing the stairs and walking across the stage will light up when they see Dr. Clark's smile and almost run directly to him. There were a couple of students that were taller than Dr. Clark, which is remarkable. And it's just a wonderful evening because we are celebrating not only the students, but the families and their children who come to that event. So it's a very emotional event, and I would encourage anyone to attend that hasn't had that opportunity. On April 30th, I joined the CAC members in the SELPA Advocacy Day in Sacramento. We had some presentations in the morning at a hotel, and then we spend the afternoon in different legislator offices and made pitches about special education legislation that's coming forward. If you want that information, I can provide it. On May 1st, I too went to the Campus to Commerce presentation. I want to give a shout out to the Concord Chamber of Commerce and the John Muir Health and the City of Concord for supporting that particular program, and many individuals turn out to recognize their students and observe in action how fantastic our students are and how well they can speak about the learning that they have accomplished. And I also want to thank Heather's department for the work that it takes to get that program ready for the showcase. On May 3rd, I went to the Mount Diablo Education Bocce Foundation Bocce Tournament, and it was a great success. It wasn't 110 degrees like last year. Hallelujah. And everyone seemed to have fun. It was just a different cordial atmosphere this year. And the foundation believes that they have made over $13,000 based on donations and the team fees. So that helps with programs that the foundation would like to support for our district students. And if anyone wants to make a donation to the foundation, it's www.mdedf.org. And I too enjoyed the Willie Mims Excellence Awards on May 5th. I attended along with Ms. Mason the evening presentation, the late evening presentation for middle school and high school students. And there were some students who couldn't smile at all, but you could see that smile creeping up in the corners of their mouths as they received the award or as they stood on the stage and had the audience applaud them. And like you said, it's always amazing to be in a theater when you've never had that experience before. And I hope that it inspires students to continue their academic work so they could be recognized in the future. Dr. Clark, we'd love to hear from you.
you guys already shared so much. I mean,
I know.
no,
It took a long time.
that's
It's
all right.
needed.
That's good because they're, I mean, I'm the biggest fan of this district, the biggest fan of the work that we are doing. We are a top district. We are one of the top districts in this area, and I would argue with the state. And I'm extremely proud and extremely humbled. But before I begin my report, I have a very special certificate and gift that I would like to give to a very, very special person. And it's people like this why I get up each and every day. And it's people like this why I do the work that I do. And it's people like this that I'm unapologetic, the best leader to ever come through Mount Diablo. So just a couple things. I didn't prepare a PowerPoint because I knew this was going to be a loud night, and I know that the staff, they have to sit here and listen to me talk and stuff, and they're going to hear me talk tomorrow during our meeting. But I just want to touch on a few events. I'm dead serious what I say about this district. I have 30 years of public education experience, and I've had many different roles, and I bring all of those roles and all those tools to how I lead this district. And we do things by the book. We since my time here, when I came in, we had a qualified budget. We now have a positive budget. Our ratings through Moody has grown to high levels. We have the highest rating of Moody that we've had in some time. Last week, we refinanced past bonds, saved our taxpayers millions of dollars. Um, that's just surface level stuff that's always going to happen under my leadership. I'm going to make sure that we are doing the right things, that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. Student achievement is at the base of everything that I do. I want our students to be successful. Yes, I said it. Student achievement is at the base of every single thing that we do. And so in order to have high student achievement, you have to have relationships with our community, with our staff, and most importantly, with our students. Our students recognize people who care about them. They can read us like a book. And so I have no problem walking onto any campus and engaging with any student in this district because they can look me in the eye and know that I care about them. So when we do events like the celebration of success, where we take students who have been and families who have had negative expectations placed on them, who are looked at with a deficit mindset by many, and they come to that event that we as a district run and host, those families, there is not a family that walks out of there complaining about our district or saying what our district doesn't do. And I do take responsibility for our shortcomings when it comes to serving this population, and I take the responsibility for that. So the celebration of success is one of my favorite events because again, we're celebrating our students, who learn differently than others, and where that's often looked at as not an asset, but it's looked at as a deficit. So for one night, we're going to bring them all together and we're going to celebrate them and really, give their family something to cheer about. And so, yes, I very much look forward to that night. I also look forward to our Black Excellence evening, which was renamed as the Willie Mims Award, because again, this is a population. I didn't have anything to do with it, but our data has demonstrated over the years that this population has been underserved, under-resourced, and not performing to the levels of any of our expectations. So when we can highlight and celebrate those students who are doing exceptionally in our schools, then of course, guess who's going to be there? Guess who's going to be their champion? I'm going to be there greeting all the kids. I was backstage with the students. I went up to every single student. They all looked me in the eye, shook my hand, told me their names, told me their grade levels, and it's just a mutual respect. I respect them. I get that respect back. Our staff that puts those things together, that's what they do, and I really truly appreciate the staff, because we have a set of LCAP goals that really guide our work. And when we say all students will be welcomed on our campuses, that's what we work towards. When we say that when we call out our students, our focal scholars, or when we call out Crossroads or Olympic, like, we're not calling them out with a deficit lens. We're saying these students are exceptional. They need our attention and support. So when we can celebrate those students, I'm all for it. This Saturday, we're going to be celebrating our Latino students, our Latino graduates at Willow Creek. I will be there Saturday, and I'm going to have the same bright look on my face, the same love, same respect, and that's just what we do in this district. And so I'm very proud of the accomplishments that we've achieved this year. This has been an absolutely outstanding year. So first of all, um, we had labor peace this year. Everyone, every single person associated with Mount Diablo received a 9% raise, 9%, and full benefits, which equates to about 2%. So that's what we're working on under right now. So, when people say we need to be paid, we need to do this, so okay, everyone's paid. So I'm looking to see the benefits of our students. Suspensions are down, academics is up. We are coherent in the work that in our academic programs. We we expect that all in every single classroom that board adopted grade level curriculum is being presented to each and every student, and that every student has the opportunity to flourish and to shine in every single classroom, regardless of where they are. And over the last 5 years, we have worked tirelessly to make sure that there is no difference between school A and school B, regardless of what the zip code is. And I'm extremely proud of the work that the team has been doing to ensure that that is happening. Things like the event that we had over at John Muir Health with our students. I mean, like, that doesn't surprise me. I walk around and talk to these kids and hear about the great projects that they have, and watching Mr. Alvarico's robots go at it, and the things that they're doing. The young student from Northgate who I really connected with over our love for photography and things like that, and talking to her about that. And you know what? The funny thing about it is, I ran into that young lady's father on the streets of Concord somewhere. I don't know where I was, but he mentioned that, and he mentioned that what the impact that had on his student. So I say that because we as educators have an opportunity to interact with students every single day. And so every single second that we get to interact with them, we ought to be at our best, and we ought to see them for their best. And I truly believe that this year, that is really coming together. It's coming together in our work. And I truly believe that our data is going to reflect that. And again, our suspension rates have dropped almost 50% throughout the district. And we're holding kids accountable. We've still suspended plenty of kids. We've still expelled kids. There's been kids arrested on our campuses, unfortunately. We're still holding them accountable, but there's also a way to do it with empathy and to do it with passion, and that is having an impact. The Yonder pouches have had a huge impact on our district, on our students, because the mental health of our students is in a crisis state right now. And it's not just Mount Diablo students, it's students everywhere. And our young people are being exposed to images and to peer pressure things, and just things on social media that destroys their self-confidence, that makes them feel that makes them feel less than, and doesn't really allow them to be children. And so if we can if we can curb that for a day or so while they're at school, so that then as they leave school, then they can go and deal with all those things, then I think it's a good idea. But I'm so excited about the graduations coming up. I want to congratulate all of our seniors who are walking across that stage, um, and also, to all of our students who are promoting, whether it's, promoting out of 8th grade into high school, or promoting from 5th grade into middle school, or, our lovely, cute kindergarten promotions and all those things. It's going to be a joyous time. And I value each and every day that I come to work, and each and every day that I get to shape the educational experiences of these young people. And I don't do that alone. I have a fabulous team with this board. We are a governance team, and you all set the vision, and then I implement your vision. And I work each and every day to make sure that I'm implementing the vision of the board. And some people don't like that, and some people have issue with that, and some people would like us to remain the status quo and to have certain kids perform how they do, and not change things. But I don't accept that. I don't accept that. And so I hold the people who I can hold accountable for those actions, and I have extremely high expectations, not only for myself but everyone around me. And so again, as Trustee Ochoa gets ready to graduate, and we think about Olympic, right? We think about a continuation school, and the stigma that goes along there. But no, when I go to Olympic, I they have a wellness center, they have a career center. The kids from Olympic go and work in our elementary classrooms. Um, in my pocket, I have these two wonderful dogs that come and visit Olympic, and the ladies from Lafayette who come to Olympic with these dogs, they tell me, I see them often because I'm at Olympic often, but they tell me that going to Olympic is their favorite school to go to, because the kids and the students there just really appreciate them, and really see something special in these dogs. And I don't know, I forget their names, but what are the yes, yes. So again, um, don't tell me that as a district we are not performing at the highest level. I just listen to all your reports and all the places that you all are attending, and the things that you are doing, and the community engagement and all those things, and the classrooms that we visit. One more thing I'll share. I know I'm talking about Olympic, but now I'll go over to prospects. I went to prospects, I don't know, I think it was last week, and we had a WASC visit. And here we are sitting in a classroom at a continuation school, and it's the days of packets are done. We're not doing that, but the teacher's class that we were in, there was a library in the class. There were goals on the board of the curriculum that was being taught, and the standards and the expectations for the day. There was student work plastered all over the wall. And as I'm sitting there with the committee who's visiting, and this happens every time I go to a WAS, they say, look what you guys are doing with this program. Like, this is unheard of that you have a program like this. And these folks who came from other districts and who are in the business, who are teachers and administrators in other districts, they could not believe what they were seeing at Prospects. I got the same thing when we were over at Crossroads, got the same thing when we were at Olympic. And so again, I know as superintendent, half the stuff I say, people are going to say, oh my goodness, that guy's a genius. And the other half, when I say things, they're going to say, oh my God, what's this guy thinking of? And that's just the nature of the beast. And I don't let it bother me, because I know when I get to go to events like the Willie Mims Award, the celebration of a success, or the 8 different graduations that we will all attend as this year ends, I know the work we're doing here is having an impact, and I'm extremely proud and thankful to be able to lead this district. So that concludes my report. I'm going to keep Lulu and Blue in my pocket as a sign of what we have in our schools. At Rough Tough Olympic, those kids just Google and goggle over these little dogs here when they show up, and I'm extremely proud that we have campuses like that. And I could go on. I could talk about every single school in this district, but I know we don't have time for that. And I know staff would be upset if I went on for another half hour. I've probably already talked long enough, but that concludes my report. I can't wait to see you wear that sash, stall, whatever it is, the little cape, scarf, whatever, but you're going to wear it with pride, right?
Of course,
All
always.
right,
Thank
good,
you. It means a
good.
lot. I appreciate it.
Good. Thank you.
Sorry. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved or adopted by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any member of the board and acted upon separately. So trustees, are there any agenda items that you'd like to have pulled and considered separately?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Nzewi on the approval of the consent agenda. Any further discussion? 1, 2, 3. Trustee Ochoa.
Yes.
Thank you. And the items on the consent agenda are approved as presented on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the business. Not that that wasn't business, but Dr. Clark, we're ready for item 18.1.
Right. So I guess we could go ahead and listen to the public comments before we present this item.
All right. What's the board's preference? Okay.
Let's hear the presentation.
Does everybody agree? Presentation first. All right. May
Yeah.
we have the presentation?
So I got to be honest with you, is that this really doesn't, we can't find a department that this falls under because it doesn't serve our students. And so I'm going to have Samantha Allen. She's the closest person to it. And basically, she's just going to kind of present it because we can't find this in our LCAP. We can't find it in any connection to student learning. So Samantha Allen.
Okay, Madam President, Superintendent Dr. Clark, and Board of Trustees. As I am the person who is responsible for our LCAP and responsible for our curriculum instruction, I'm here tonight to recommend, excuse me, I put my glasses on, recommend to the board to non-renew the lease agreement with American Tower. This agreement expires June 30th of this year. Our schools have not operated this radio station, KVHS, since 2013. Since that time, the agreement has cost the district approximately $300,000. Since 2013, this resource has not been used by students. It is not included in our LCAP. If we continue with the lease, it will cost us more than $170,000 for the next 5 years. And so I am going to read the recommendation because there are 2 parts to the recommendation, or a couple parts. That the board approve, 1, the non-renewal of American Tower lease, 2, setting the sale price of KVHS, the FCC license, for $1 to governmental entity, 3, in the alternative option, number 2, surrendering the FCC license to the federal government, and 4, requesting the county superintendent's approval of the sale of KVHS to a government entity for $1, or in the alternative, approval of surrender of the FCC license. I'll now leave this in your hands. Thank you.
Ready for public? All right. The first speaker is Dave Hughes.
Not even sure I get the 3 minutes in there, so if you don't mind.
Well,
Five,
we need you
four,
to use the
3, 2. Good evening, trustees and staff. Dave Hughes, KB. Important to Steve
All the areas will hear unit also the board of one J school I refresh the no RT that is the BSC some of many all the other we has wrong it's real to be reversed 7 14 they days and answer all the older size
I think you should get your skin for people need the application. I do that even though this being community clear the article together and you can walking. It's not this great on think we or see or you can do that happen. I will be stood at 8 hours there have they will work and we have your job. So I think it's listening the blueprint list and that's risk you I mean I love and it happens quick and that is in our meets I'm at of the after to be finished I can really do the first future then we can have we were so and I can not excited I think I'm more visit to maybe now the comforting birthday from use on how you have feet and in 1 or 2 5 so I was saying my we worked moment and I can be Rossi not a
this is really great reason to start in that government we have a big film already that was very good we court petition my father to get to DC so I and we have to have to vote to show our class we can be the trust and so I don't know for the party and for you we can apply the and I think we never we from 45 and this
so I'm sure we'll case so and tell their team out we bring up one pay use my we for the pay so we need to the I'm straight to be just the old business had to other beach over the look at it and we take me going through and making for me and me or and it looks years this doing most time and not agree that now need ways to save with the players who cry even not the last year's 10 days in I don't mind that you go to from PPI and the reason they're not all still fly down and do the docs and not doing test step will need
Yes.
So the proof the new demo say I just long the property and virtually and setting. So are you at a third under? You and everybody involvement including like presses